How you doing, guys? All good? How's everybody doing? Get this sorted out. Everybody's week off to a good start. Get this fill light sorted. Yeah, how's everybody doing? Let's see what we got here. Oh, dog's barking now. Great, just perfect timing. Oi! Oi! My goodness. What's it like in here? Sin, you made it, mate. Well done. You made it here early. Love to see it. Love to see it. Yeah. Who else we got in here? Jamie, how you doing, mate? Melanie, how you doing? Steve, good to see you. Good to see you. Vlad's in here as well. Nice, nice. Anybody come across any interesting articles this week? I just had a look before we jumped on. There's nothing crazy. Nothing crazy I could see. Paul, how you doing, mate? How you doing? Yeah, nothing. I mean, there's a couple of bits which we'll go through, but there's nothing that really product wise that jumped out at me as far as I could see anyway. Yeah. Yeah, let's have a look. I think the chat window's sorted out. Let's find the news we got looking at. Some bits over here. Yeah, winter's finally hit, man. Freeze my ass off here in a shirt. That's gonna be a jumper stream next time, or a woolly hat stream, I think. Yeah. Right, let's get that done. Let's have a look. Get the scene. Professional. Job done. Oh, you know what I haven't got? You know what I was confused? I don't have the second monitor on. Let me just turn it on. Let's see if this screws us up. Should I risk it? Oh, yeah, I'm gonna risk it. It's let me. Oh, the camera's squiffy. Let's get that sorted. It's manageable. Really hoping that didn't screw it completely. One of these days it'll be a flawless stream. Not today, but one of these days. One of these days it'll be fine. Yeah. Okay, second monitor, drag that over. I was like, why am I struggling to see everything? Yeah. Yeah, looks like we're good. Right. Let's get this looking good in here. Got the chat window. Nice. Yeah. Vlad says I wrote an article about false color. Is that interesting? Yeah, that is something that not a lot of people, photographer-wise, deal with, Vlad. Right? Like, I think it's pretty common with videographers and that sort of thing. But the false color thing is. Have you got a link there? I'll just bring it up so that people know what we're kind of talking about. But yeah, the false color is a weird one for photographers. I don't know of any photographers that actually use false color. Like I say, I think it's good in teams, like as in like groups of people being on the same page with trying to understand densities of light in a scene and that sort of stuff. And it's certainly used a lot in film and that sort of thing. But yeah, I don't know of many photographers that kind of use it. Do you? Have you encountered it a lot? Yeah. Steve says Gavin did an Instagram unboxing of the new light that Chinese company I can't pronounce. Jun. Yeah. I've got that on the list actually, Steve. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, they reached out. I've been under NDA from them for a few weeks now about it. I didn't actually realise the NDA had lifted for another week or so, but I saw everybody was talking about it. So yeah, I grabbed the post. But yeah, they have sent it out. It's interesting. Yeah, we'll definitely have a look at that. I think it's interesting. Yeah, because they sent me the stat sheet like weeks ago, and I was looking at the specs. And I was like, seems impressive. But yeah, look, they're going to send it out so we can have a look. Yeah. Danny, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. Yeah, Risk it for a biscuit. I know, Jamie, right? Yeah. I was like, I couldn't think of an issue that like turning the second monitor on would do to the system. You know, it should just see it as an extension rather than mirror. But yeah, it seemed to be okay. Yeah. Norm, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. New lens from Laowa, 200mm f2 autofocus. Both these happened since 4pm. Right. Have you got a link, Steve? I'll take a look. Yeah, I'll take a look. I mean, you can tell the story of me and the Reddit to the class, so they can have a laugh. Yeah, well, I mean, now we've got the article, I'll certainly have a look. Yeah. So Vlad says, I haven't encountered it since it's impossible to get unless you use my method. Use a video editing app to edit photos. Okay, I started using it. It's crazy powerful. Okay. Yeah. So let's have a look. Let's see what Vlad's talking about here. Yeah. Let's see what. So false color is typically used as like we call them check layers in Photoshop, right? We're like if we're retouching and color grading and that sort of thing, we would use check layers in Photoshop, which is essentially a series of curves that you would apply to the image that you can remove afterwards, but you're just basically putting over the image, and it kind of breaks everything down, which we can kind of see here, right, in Vlad's example here, where he's, you know, this is obviously the true image on the left here, and then on the right he's using his profile, or whatever he's using, the false color profile here, to group brightnesses or luminance together, right? So what you end up with is the colors represent luminance. They don't represent anything else. They represent areas of brightness. So like here you can see, you know, the side of Vlad's face, even though its skin color is the same brightness as his hoodie, which is actually bright yellow, right? So you kind of sometimes dominant and recessive colors can trick our eyes into thinking that they're brighter than they actually are, right? And through experience you kind of get used to that. Like you kind of get used to reading that dominant and recessive color as, you know, kind of like this false brightness, as it were, and you can kind of use that to your advantage, right? You can kind of have like this bright yellow color that is, you know, that is really strong and dominant, but in reality it's actually the same brightness as Vlad's skin there. So this method really helps to kind of even out the or make it clearer to understand the brightness in an image. You know? And obviously Vlad's done a ton of work here in, you know, kind of highlighting how to use it, why you would use it, and that sort of thing. So last time you shared this article, Vlad, it didn't have these extra bits in it. That's cool. Yeah. So the link is in chat if you missed it here. The link is in chat here for those of you that missed it, and take a look. It's interesting. It is interesting idea. It's not something that I use, but I know, you know, like I was saying here. Oh, that's cool. You got this. Yeah, nice. I love these things, man. You don't see them on websites anymore. Yeah. You see here, right? So this area here and then this area here. It's kind of weird, but they would be the same brightness, because like here it's kind of the same color, right? So it can be clever, especially as a learning tool for sure. Yeah, that's actually a really cool shot to kind of test it on Vlad. Yeah, that's good. I like that. Yeah. Oh damn, you've done tons more, man. Yeah, nice. Okay, you've really gone down the rabbit hole on this one. Fair play to you. Good stuff. Okay, I'll have a read of that actually, because again I haven't really used to it, so I haven't really looked into it too much. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so check that out, guys. How long's the video, Vlad? I didn't actually see how long the video was. And what's this? This the... Oh, Steve. Yeah, nice. Have a look at this lens here from Steve. I think I did kind of see this, but didn't pick up on it. I don't know how you pronounce that company name, actually. Laowa has made a name for itself by releasing wonderfully wide optics. The major lens manufacturers and everything to produce. Probe lenses, ultra wide, incredibly bright manual focus lenses, kind of oddities. Iowa is best known for. I was therefore surprised when they started teasing a 200mm f2. Okay. 200mm f2. Okay. Okay, I was going to say, please tell me there's shots on it. Okay. Okay, that's a lot of data in the shadows there, rightly or wrongly. Okay. It's not a very contrasty lens. Okay. How much is this then? It's not as much as I thought it was going to be. The most obvious comparison is... Oh, no, that's the comparison. How much is this one? Should you buy it? Go on then. How much is it on Amazon? Yeah. Is it on Amazon? No. Did you see a price, Steve? I didn't see a price on that. Yeah. I mean, I bet that's a lot of money. Yeah. I guess if you really wanted 200mm f2 Dreamer, I suppose it is kind of leaning into that. To be fair, it's not hiding behind that. So like it is kind of that is its feature is the fact that it is kind of more of a dreamy lens. I suppose it's certainly what it looks like. I mean, whatever they're doing certainly works. Yeah, because it's definitely taken the edge off some of those. This is nice. Yeah. Flare results are interesting. When shooting directly at a large light source f2, there is a noticeable loss of contrast across the frame, right? Which is what we've all been looking at, but very few artifacts until stopping down. Contrast improves dramatically, but so like if you're shooting at f2, it's going to have less contrast. If you shoot at like f8, you're obviously going to start to see a lot more contrast, right? Yeah. So what they're saying is avoid shooting straight into the light. Fair enough. Yeah. That's kind of an interesting comparison here, kind of getting the trees almost the same exposure and then the difference. That's kind of wild, actually. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Super useful for learning. Yeah, I bet, Vlad. Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Vlad's talking about his article there. I didn't see a price on that, but I'm curious now. I can't see it. Steve says 1800 to 2000. Okay, I mean, look, that's not as much as I thought I was going to say. Yeah, I mean, so you've got the obvious comparison is the recently released Sigma 200 f2, the Sports, which is 3300, while significantly more expensive. The Sigma option is dramatically sharper, wide open. Yes, it's going to have more contrast and that sort of thing. Should you buy it? Maybe a 200 f2 can deliver a unique look, especially for portraits. However, they need to stop down for sharper results. Inconsistent autofocus means the lens will likely wind up being another Iowa lens for a small niche rather than a popular choice for sports photographers. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I could see this being like wedding shooters, right? I could definitely see this being something for wedding shooters, not sports, which is fine. There's definitely room for that. Christ, there's enough wedding shooters out there. Yeah. Definitely see scope for that. Yeah. Right, before we get sidetracked too much, every couple of weeks do live stream. A lot of it is going to be looking at some of your images, right? So every week I ask in the Facebook page here group to pop your images in the share a shoot. So this was published yesterday, the share shoot, and people pop their comments, pop their images in the comments here, and we can go through and take a look, see what everybody's working on. This is kind of a good spot to kind of get some feedback if that's what you're after. Like, Jake, this is what I've been working on, kind of struggling with like the lighting or the coloring or something's not quite right. If you've got any tips or CC, then yeah, this is obviously a good place to do it. So if you wanted to pop your image in there, just head on over to the link there on Facebook, and then in the comments, just pop your image in the comments, and we will take a look later on. Before we get into checking out your shots, though, we tend to always have a little bit of a chat about latest news, bits and pieces that's going on, and then maybe target a specific topic, whether that be a new product that is coming out. Maybe I was going to look at the Jun light, but it hasn't arrived yet, so we'll have a look at that live on stream next time. And so this week what we're going to do is just going to have a look at another chapter from my Color 2.0 course, right? So last week we looked at flash versus LED, or 2 weeks ago in the live stream, Yeah, we looked at the flash versus LED, and this time around, I think we'll look at color and light. So just go through and kind of have a look at, see what we can learn from this. Let's have a look. Yeah, so we'll go through this color and light chapter later on. I'll kind of go over my thoughts and go over what's important to remember with colored light when we're working with colored light as photographers, not painters, and that sort of stuff is a big difference. There's lots to consider when working and mixing colored light on subject, skin tones, and white walls, or whatever it is you're doing. So I'll be interested to cover that. So we'll do that later on, but yeah, let's before we get into that, we can kind of look at some bits of news here. Like I said, it's been fairly quiet, but yeah, we will cover some bits anyway. By the way, DRL if you're new here, yeah, thanks, Vlad. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I just remember. Thank you. Yeah, Jamie, I got Googled that. Damn, that article from Anti is from 2017. I'll have a look at that. Just lastly on Vlad's article there, what Vlad said to share with the class was that Vlad posted, his images like before and after using this color checker, false color tool in a Reddit post, and apparently he got absolutely cooked on Reddit, not for like the tool, but because people were like, why would you edit your image like this? People thought that Vlad had taken the shot and then he'd done some crazy Photoshop filter to apply this kind of early 90s Photoshop effect to his image, and people thought he was showing off his crazy mad Photoshop skills rather than a false color checker, which is brilliant. Yeah, no disrespect to Reddit, obviously everybody who uses Reddit is on the ball. So let's have a look. Yeah. This is what Jamie said. I tried a technique from Anti-Cribinon using false color from compositing. Kind of works, but need more practice. Okay. I have not heard that name. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, slow news week. Apparently Microsoft's brought out a new AI image generator. I didn't really think this was a big thing, but apparently Microsoft AI has unveiled its first text-to-image generator developed entirely in-house. So apparently they didn't have their own version. Everybody's got their own image maker now. Google's got a bunch or whatever, and apparently Microsoft didn't have one. So I was kind of surprised that they didn't. MAI image one, my image one. Honestly, man, corpos should not be allowed to do any advertising or marketing stuff, but My Image 1 debuted the top 10 of scoring solid the 1000. So apparently, I didn't even know this. Apparently, AI image makers have this made up score that they get to mark themselves against. And apparently, this puts it behind Google's Gemini 2.5, the banana one, Image 4. But it's ahead of DALL-E and Stable Diffusion. So, it's like they all look the same to me, man. This is the results, right? You put your text in and you get your images out. Microsoft has its own version now. I presume, it is just them making sure that they have a seat at the table. Also, it probably means that, in the future when AI image generators are probably going to be integrated into a lot of software, right? Just as part and parcel, right? It's just going to be in software. So I presume Microsoft, in the future, they don't want to be having to pay other companies to use their AI features in their software, right? In Microsoft Office or something like that, it'll have, rather than clip art. Remember clip art? They'll have their own AI image generator in there, so they're not having to lease it or pay somebody else. Nothing nothing wild really. In the comments down here, people were going, it's either like people saying good or bad. I don't know how you guys can tell. It just all looks kind of the same to me. But there you go. Nothing exciting. iPhone pretending they've reinvented the wheel here. How and why Apple built its new square center stage front iPhone camera. So apparently people take selfies, right? And Apple just kind of cottoned onto this fact and thought, we should probably do something about that, and maybe make some adjustments to the selfie camera. So we chatted to John McCormack, Apple's vice president on camera and photos, Megan Nash, two along with the team's leader responsible for many evolutions in iPhone technology. So let's have a look. Globally, people took 500 billion selfies on iPhone last year. Wow. I mean, obviously they're tracking that number, right? I mean, that's crazy. That is a lot. That is a lot of selfies, man. But I mean, they're obviously tracking that figure from somewhere. We like to say iPhone is a very social camera, and especially for the front-facing camera, it's how we express ourselves, it's how we share a point of view, how we record our precious memories. So just have a quick video here of what's going on. Blink and you'll miss it. But what Apple's essentially doing is they put a square chip in their front-facing camera, right? As opposed to the rectangular, chip. Like you're looking at me in the webcam here or whatever. Like you can see it's a rectangle, right? So there's a rectangular chip in there that is receiving the image, and iPhone has now put this square chip in here, which means that you can. It's the most marketing just becomes so corporately safe now that I honestly thought that was AI. It's just five beautiful women from all corners of the globe on a mountainside. I just thought, is that AI? Yeah. But yeah, so it's just carry on a little bit. McCormack explains that Apple and the team has put tremendous care and consideration into every iPhone experience, including selfies. The team has learned a lot about its users over the years. Most people hold the iPhone vertically. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, this is integral to the selfie process. It keeps the camera centered and it's in a natural position. So yeah, like what they're saying is, out of all the years of data, they've realized that people hold the camera in the vertical position when taking selfies. So they just were trying to fight around the issue of holding the camera horizontally, right? We asked ourselves, what if the camera could just understand what you were trying to capture and make adjustments for you? So we set to remove the effort and make your experience seamless, keep with the moment, let the technology do the hard work for you. We wanted to design a digital camera experience that makes it easier and more delightful to take selfies, right? A groundbreaking new square image sensor. So look, I get it, it's marketing, right, at the end of the day, but you got to remember that a lens by its very nature is circular. I mean, you look at your lens, it's a circular opening, right? Light goes in, and then all the lenses bounces around, and as a result it is projecting a circular image, right? So much of this data that these lenses capture is kind of lost, right? Because we're taking like a rectangle in the middle of that circle, which is kind of nuts, right? Let me just. I'm sure I don't need to. Spell it out, but. So. With a mouse, so excuse me. So yeah, so that's the circle of the image that is being captured, right? And then our chip is just using that little section, but all this data is also being captured by the lens, right? And this is why I kind of mentioned about like the GFX in the past and that sort of thing, in that the circle that glass is kind of capturing is like out here, right? And then the chip that they have in the GFX is capturing some area in the middle of that, and we have a lot of this kind of area outside that obviously gives room for growth if they want to make the chip bigger in the future, right? So all they're saying is, and look, yeah, like makes sense, right? You have your front-facing camera, boom, you got your circle there, and then this time around, they're using the square, so that they're actually able to capture a lot more of it. Yeah, it's certainly not groundbreaking, and it is kind of wild, though. I will say it is kind of weird that it's taken this long to kind of be a thing, right? I mean, I am taking the mick, but I suppose it's a lot of wasted silicone if you're not using all of that chip, right? If like 90% of the time you're not using it in the square format, then you kind of wasted data on the outside. But it is. I mean, they go on to kind of say that this is the first time ever we've uncoupled the orientation of your phone. I think it could be kind of interesting. I think a lot of people would probably choose to shoot square. Surely you can just choose square, because a lot of these is just either like vertical or rectangular, right? I presume you can shoot square as well. But yeah, kind of funny that it's it's just the wording in there. It's just like, this is a revolution of the mind. It's just like lenses have projected a circle that for a long time, and I mean Hasselblad used to be square like forever, back in the day. Yeah. Okay. It was back in the day when DIYP was actually a nice blog. Oof, man, it's tough, man. Yeah, I haven't been on there. I haven't been on there in a long time. So DIY photography, has certainly changed in the last year or so. I don't know how much original content they're getting, but yeah, I definitely agree with you, Vlad. It has certainly changed. I haven't used it in a long time. Yeah, he does great compositing, but for the past. So Jamie's talking about this dude up here, Aniti Karapinian. Nailed it. He does great composition, but for the past couple of years he's headed more into playing with AI, which I'm not interested in. Fair enough, yeah. What aren't they tracking in a phone? It's fair, Vlad. Yeah, I know, you're right. I don't know why I was kind of like, how did they get that number? Why I'm surprised at that, yeah. Along Jake were people who inspired me to get more and more into the article writing stuff that I'm doing. Okay, nice. I just rotate the camera. Trust. Yeah, I mean, trust Sin to come in there with the DIY hack there. You should get an article out, Sin. You're onto it, mate. Most people don't rotate the iPhone while taking a selfie because it's ergonomics. Exactly, yeah, it's a pain in the ass. Just shoot it. Vertical's not in the world, yeah. You can't choose to square. Oh, you can't choose to shoot square for now. There's no way, Vlad. Did you honestly see that in there? There's no way. You're kidding me. Like with people, like young people loving the square format. It's just what? Come on, man. It's just crazy how they missed that trick. That's nuts. So dumb. Is that true, Vlad? I didn't see it in there, but I certainly take your word for it. That's wild. Absolutely crazy. Yeah. Just real quick, the latest Time magazine is out. Trump is not happy with this low angle shot. Look here, we're all, I'm always about chatting to you guys about dynamic angles, like how can we change the position which we shoot images from, whether it be up high or low, or getting yourself in a different position and that sort of thing. And apparently Trump wasn't happy with this particular one. Trump goes on to say, Time magazine wrote a relatively good story about me, but the picture may be the worst of all time. In capitals. They disappeared my hair and then had something float on top of my head that looked like a floating crown, but an extremely small one. Really weird. I never liked taking pictures from underneath angles, but this is a super bad picture and deserves to be called out. What are they doing and why? Oh man, let's just skip past the English of that tweet there. But yeah, look, come on, you got to shoot powerful people from below. We all know that. Absolutely nailed it. Yeah, he is not happy about that one. Talking about squares and selfies and all that sort of stuff, real quick, I'm only mentioning this real quick because I didn't know this, and this is always a pain in the ass when I'm trying to upload several images at a time. But Instagram allows users to post horizontal and vertical images in the same carousel. I'm not going to spend any time on this. I just wanted to bring it to your attention because I didn't know about this. I just saw it today, and I've actually been trying to like batch images into landscapes and squares so that you can just like put a bunch of landscapes up at the same time, and then portraits up at the same time as well. So now I don't have to. I'm not going to spend any time on that, but yeah, I just wanted to mention it because I certainly didn't realize. You can't use I don't like this shot as an editor. I would have not used that shot. Okay, Andre. So this one here. I don't know what the other ones were like. I'm kind of curious as to how close he was to him, though, right? I mean, come on. As photographers, we know that's probably shot on what mil lens do you reckon that shot on? Like 20 mil, something like that. That's pretty close. Maybe not quite that wide, but he's like in his armpit there. Like he's super close. No, am I wrong? Like that feels wildly close. But it's just, could you imagine being the photographer getting that shot? By the way, there's no mention of the photographer's name here. I didn't see it mentioned, but yeah, when I was just having a skim through, I just didn't see the guy's name. I was like, is he just he's already in hiding? Like, yeah. 50 mil. You reckon it's 50 mil, Andre? Really? No, it seems real close, man. It seems real close. I say a Trump shot is a beautiful troll. I know, right? Turkey neck. Turkey neck a vision. Nice one. Yeah, true. Yeah, he's look, it's not flattering, but I mean, none of us are getting older, Don. None of us are getting older. Hair's going white, losing a bit of hair, I'm getting it here as well, man. Just I just find it funny he called him out, man. Yeah. No mention of the photographer's name. Yeah. Maybe 35. It's got to be, yeah. I think it's got to be down that way. He is definitely in Trump's armpit, though. I would just, yeah. He must have a shot where Trump looks down, going, "What are you doing?" Yeah. This is kind of cool. Vlad, I thought you might like this, but yeah, I'm always a fan when people do this. But cinematographer gives an 8mm camcorder from the 1950s a new digital life. So, as I'm sure you can guess from the title, what this Tom Cusi here runs a YouTube channel called Manual Not Found. Actually, a very cool name for a YouTube channel like that. Took apart a classic 1950s era Sankyo. I'm nailing the words and the names. 8R film camera and gave it a new surreal digital life. So he's done a beautiful little video here, which we can check out. And if we just kind of skip to the end there, but basically he's just saying it's like really expensive, and he goes through the process. 3D printed some bits here, broke it all apart to get it in there, because in my mind I kind of thought that this wouldn't be too tricky, but obviously that proves how ignorant I am. Yeah, because there was a ton of things they needed to do to make this happen. So it's an interesting watch. It's only like 8 minutes long or something like that, but very cool. Yeah, and then here's the footage here as well.
The green of leaves shifts to a vibrant, surreal pink. It's a look that works for black and white, but for color, it's a problem for another day. This image combines the softness and vignetting of the old lens with the sharp, unforgiving nature.
So it's pretty legit, right? Like what he's done there is pretty legit. It's funny him mentioning about the colors, where the greens get stripped out, replaced with this kind of magenta-y, purpley, pinky color. I think he took the chip from a drone, and I don't know if something's going on there, but like he said, looks cool in black and white. Color issues is a problem for another day. Yeah.
It's no longer capturing
but yeah, it's cool, man. Good stuff. Yeah. Big fan of that. And there it is. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of the 8mm film look, but the truth is the cost of 8mm film stock is just too prohibitive for me to play with and experiment with casually. Yeah, I mean, because you got to buy the film, which is almost non-existent now. You know, you got it, which means you got to get it shipped to you. So you got the shipping costs, and then you got to get it devved, and then you got to somehow transfer that into a digital medium to them. You know, so yeah. Converting the camera to digital allowed me to engage with the history of these old turret cameras, perhaps even injecting myself into that history. Although the project itself offered many challenges, including gutting the camera, designing the 3D and printing necessary components, and performing all the required coding and wiring. Fair play to him, man. Goosey says the biggest challenge was actually starting it at all. The most challenging part of the build was simply making the design start in the first place. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff. Like, I'm always on the lookout for these, because there's always something that years ago, some of you probably won't remember this, but there was a April Fool's many years ago where somebody put out a product where it was a film canister, right? It was like a film canister, and it had like this kind of panel attached to the film canister, and you would put this thing into the back of your 35mm film camera, right? And basically this was the film plane. It would read the image coming in from the shutter being opened, and then the film canister had like the tech in it or whatever to store the images and take the shot and that sort of stuff. And people went absolutely mental for it. Right, absolutely crazy for it. It was an April Fool. They didn't realize that, and it just went, it just went absolutely nuts that everybody wanted it. And since then, I've seen 3 or 4 companies, startups, try and develop it and try and make it a reality, right? Basically turning all of our old 35mm cameras into the ability to kind of shoot digital files. Well, I'll link for the article, yeah. Which is nuts, right? Because as soon as I saw it, I was like, damn, I have to get that. That's so cool, man. Absolutely getting that, right? And like everybody's got their old, whether it be their dad's old 35mm or the granddad's 35mm camera or whatever, and basically giving them a new lease of life. But there must be an issue, because I've seen several startups, and there must be a crux somewhere along the line that just makes it too tricky to kind of mass produce at a nominal, at a reasonable price or whatever it is. But yeah, and I think the amount of effort that he went into basically rebuilding the inside of this camera kind of speaks to that as well. So yeah, definitely check that out. Very cool. Yeah. About 25mm from a zoom. I would think, yeah. I think that shot was pretty wide. Yeah, nicely done. Exactly, Vlad. Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, the Vlad's talking about the infrared of the colors on the plants and stuff here. Yeah. Very cool, Trevor. Yeah, very cool. Yeah. Yeah. I wonder how much footage you can do, and the guy's a genius, right? I mean, it's practically a square sensor. Just saying. Kind of revolutionary. Please get on camera. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. The most challenging part was starting. I think not selling themselves short. I think, yeah, I would have just had a bunch of scrap components at the end. You're right. Yeah, starting was the hard part. That's true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I think there's. Yeah, because I haven't done this. I know nothing about it. I know, code's done, Vlad's done minimal, like coding and stuff with LEDs and that sort of stuff. I don't even get into the code with LEDs, which is very basic code. And for this sort of thing, in my mind's eye, it's always been like, oh yeah, you could just you have your chip, boom, you put that where the light goes in, right, and you record it. That's great. Surely that's all you need. But it's way more complicated than that, as so many people probably fall foul of the same ignorance that I've just shown when they try and do a startup where they make that 35mm project a reality. Yeah. Snapper, the Uber for photography, is expanding into Europe. Has anybody heard of this? Snapper? This apparently is massive. Again, out of touch, but granted it's not in Europe. So Snapper, the Uber for photography. So apparently Snapper is this kind of photographer on demand type thing, which is kind of weird. It seems like they don't even go too much into it here because apparently everybody outside of Europe knows exactly what it is, but they're now making their way into Europe. Let me just see if I can find the website here a minute. Snapper is a visual content creation platform that provides an on-demand professional photography and editing services for consumers and businesses. For individuals, it offers a self-service marketplace to book photographers for events, portraits, and real estate. Again, like I didn't know this was a thing. Yeah, for businesses, it provides SaaS products to automate visual content pipelines. Yada yada yada. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's have a look. Snapper gives you visual content superpowers. So I guess you just go, boom, I need a photographer, personal portrait. I just put county, Berkshire, UK. Boom. Oh. They nearly got me. Yeah. So the reason that I'm bringing it up here is not because I have any kind of insight into it or anything like that. The reason I'm kind of bringing it up here is really to see if any of you guys had already heard of it, i.e. outside of Europe, right? Is anybody here who kind of is on their books and that sort of thing? Apparently, there's certain concerns about the people underpaying on there. I mean, you can't be surprised, right? I mean, I'm sure Snapper takes a cut, and then if you're just getting every Tom, Dick, and Harry to kind of Google you and that sort of stuff, then they're going to go for the cheapest person, not the best person, if they're using a site like this. Just saying. So yeah, I think that it's if you were on the other end and looking for somebody cheap, I could see that being the way to go. Apparently it's hit in Europe as well. Trevor says he's in Canada, never heard of it. Yeah, okay, mate. Yeah. Access reports that the move comes after the tech startup recently raised $28 million in Series B funding. Snapper regularly works with major clients like DoorDash, Redfin, and Instacart, and there are rising demand for high-quality visual content. So they go on to say, we have brands that have done hundreds of thousands of shoots with us. Okay. Shooter tells us the particularly needs and specs. We have an app that creators can use to access the brand guidelines live while they're on a shoot. Okay. It's not just large corporations, large companies. Snapper, someone wanting to book a photographer for a personal portrait. Yeah, we just saw that. Family. Yeah. It means the clients can potentially book a photographer at the last minute. Okay. So I see what they're saying. So it is really this kind of Uber, like you're not booking in advance. You're just kind of saying, I need somebody now, or like very, very short notice. Okay, interesting. Yeah. Oh, Snapper has also moved into AI imagery. There we go. In 2020, Snapper raised $14 million. Okay, Series A funding that was dubbed Uber for photography. The company already operates in 57 cities, and as part of its launch in Europe, the app will add the French, Italian, Spanish, German, and Dutch languages. Okay. Began in Australia 2016, now employs 250 people. Well, I am just out of the loop, man. That's crazy. Yeah, how have I never heard of this? Yeah, okay. Yeah. I've shot many times for Snapper in the UK, which is the Europe. Okay. All right. Yeah. Look, I'll keep an eye on it. I'll see what the costs are. I'm kind of curious. But yeah, interesting business model if it's just... I wonder how they're reaching their clients, right? Because it sounds like they're after people, or potentially after people last minute, which is people not in the know, not in the know in the photographic industry. So how are they coming across this? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Interesting. Yeah. Oh, I had to grab this for Vlad. Vlad loves these things, man. Light Pixels Labs new flash looks like the perfect match for retro-inspired mirrorless cameras. So don't worry, we got a new mini flash. To add to the 1400 that we already had last month, Lightpix Labs has announced FlashQ FM2, a retro-inspired sleek and compact wireless flash system designed for photographers who appreciate both style and substance. Wait, Vlad, did you write that? That's nuts, man. That's crazy. It's designed for you. The FlashQ FM2 immediately stands out for its distinctly boxy, minimalist form, inspired by the legendary Contax TLA 200 flash from the 1980s. I mean, yeah, it's true. That's true. It does look retro. It does. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. What were we talking about the other week? We mentioned the other week. Who was it that brought out the baby flash that was so low profile it was casting shadows from the lens? Who was that? Was that Godox who made that one? Like this one. Oh, look, on top of the Leica as well. You love to see it, man. Love to see it. Yeah, this one's got a little bit more headroom there, so you know it's not going to create a shadow. But yeah, we were looking at one the other day. It's just like designed for pancake lenses only. Yeah. What do we think the cost of this is? What do we think? Get your numbers in. What do you think the cost of this? Retro inspired, boxy. It's got a little screen on there, right? Looks like it's got some filters on there as well. You know, it's the full package. Yeah. What do we think the price on this is going to be? Yeah. I'm not seeing any flashes yet. Okay. Oh, she's got all the retro kitsch stuff. Nice. It's the most retro bedroom I've ever seen. Look, bless them, right? Look, no offense, but the lights, like the LED lights, are flickering in this video, so they haven't got the frame rates right either. Oh, you can use it off camera. Price has gone up immediately in my mind. It's got a little flip up gels. Mate, I'm in. It does look it does look cool, but what do we think the price of this is going to be? What do we got? 70 quid from Steve. Retro inspired cost $20. What happened? I like it. Those cameras have baby lenses. Let's have a look. Please that'll be a price. Oh my god, we got the gels. Ooh, who said 70? Steve, mate. Steve. I was going to go way more than that. I was going to go 200. Yeah. Okay, Steve on the money there, mate. You just plugged into that retro aesthetic lifestyle. Like, no, I see you. Yeah. But yeah, one more to add to the pile. Has a diffuser. Did it? Has a diffuser? I missed that. It's adding value by the minute. Look at this little fella. I love these little things. The little tray that slots out. Oh no, is it just a flap and then you? Oh, it's just a little flap and then you put your gel on that. You specifically cut gel. Okay. I see it. And it comes with a little dudes in there. Do you know what? I gotta get it. I need it. 149 for just the styling lol. Yeah, I know, Mel. I know. Yeah, it's yeah. Look, the more I'm looking at it, the more I'm sold. I'm not gonna lie. Look at these bad boys. I'm all over it. It's good stuff, you know. I had to bring this up because I saw this in the news like years and years ago. This so the baby from Nirvana's Nevermind album. I know I've got some more mature folks in chat here, right? I know I'm not alone on this, but like this album was like a staple of many of our upbringings. And now apparently this young baby has now grown up and was trying to sue Nirvana's owner, or I forget who owns them now, for sexual assault as a child, sexual assault of a minor or something like that. Obviously not something to joke about, because, you know, those of you that remember the album cover, it's not something that you would see released today. And yeah, he's just it's been going on for years. Bless him. He's been fine. Basically, the judge just like Come on, mate. Grow up. Yeah. So however, Eldon's lawyer tells Rolling Stone that they respectfully disagree with the ruling and plan to appeal. Right. As long as the entertainment industry priorities profits over childhood privacy, consent, and dignity, we will continue our pursuit of awareness and accountability. So this lawyer is like, damn, there is a payday there one day. I just need to get it. So Judge Olgan also noted several factors in his ruling, including that Eldon's parents were present at the photo shoot, that the photographer was a family friend, classic, and that Eldon had previously embraced and financially benefited from being featured on the album cover. So the judge is saying there that, look, in the past you were using this as a way to get famous, which he was. I know in the original news article, the kid, or when he grew up, was like touting the fact that he was the naked baby on the front of the album cover, and obviously financially benefited from it. And the judge was like, yeah, no, you're out of luck. Oh man, that's wild. Yeah. By the way, look up for the dash damaged light and the silicone dome. That was cool for real. Dash DMG. Okay. Was it just light? Oh, this thing. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Dash TMG. So Vlad sent this to me the other day saying it was pretty cool. And it is, yeah, it is very cool. It's another little pocket LED light. Which I'm sure is beautiful. Are you ready for this? Chat? Are you ready? It's an LED pocket light. It's totally unique to all the other ones. It hasn't even got a full color screen. Okay. I'm only muting it. Oh, that's harsh, man. That is harsh. Brilliant. Okay. Pretty durable. IP65 by the looks of it. Okay. Oh, and it's got some modifiers there. Magnets, right? So you got your grid, you got your little bulb, and then you got your little diffusion there. Now, what's not cool about this is you probably saw it as we loaded that up. Was the price? Yeah. Eesh. That's a lot of money for a handheld LED light, man. But I suppose like the Rotolight Neo, right? I mean, that's how much is the Rotolight Neo? That's kind of the same sort of price, right? Neo 3, what, Pro? The new one. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I would personally take this Rotolight any day of the week over that one, but I mean, it is a little bit more expensive. It's just, it's I mean, this if you're after something to be IP65 on set and something like that, it's cool. But yeah, I mean, the Neo 3 already comes with the little diffuser on there. Yeah. These pro photography lights are game changers. That's it. Yeah. Hey Tommy, how you doing, mate? Let's have a look. Has a screw mount on the back, and it's actually durable, which is cool. Yeah, it did look very, very durable. Yeah, but that silicone diffuser is amazing for catch lights. Yeah, that's what I use on the Neo, Vlad, and yeah, I agree. It is beautiful. I mean, it's kind of the same size for the catch lights in the eye lights or whatever it is. But yeah, very, very cool. Yeah. I couldn't find an article on this, so I just had to screenshot the email that I got. But Satellite 3D, the guys that make the 3D lighting software that I use and make all those kind of lighting diagrams in that you've seen in kind of all my articles. So they're bringing out a newer version. A couple of you sent me this as well, or mentioned that they'd made some changes. So I just had to kind of screen print the email here, so forgive the slightly scuffed look of this, but there was no actual data online about it after I looked into it. But they're bringing out this new version that looks like you can build scenes, so whether that be outside or streets and that sort of stuff, which is kind of wild, right? Also, you've got sets here with cars and like some street scene there behind them, and then daylight out here. More importantly, though, I presume that will come coupled with sunlight, right? So a light that you can actually simulate daylight with, because that is like I've tried to emulate the effect in the software, and you can kind of get away with it with like a hanging tungsten bulb, and then you can kind of trick the software into thinking that it's daylight. But yeah, having the function to actually shoot with daylight in your scenes for this 3D model, very, very cool. Yeah, the version 3, you're no longer limited to Virtual Studio. You can step outside in the streets, park, or real world sets and work with sunlight as it truly behaves. So this will be interesting. A couple of things on this. Like, I absolutely love this software. I think it's phenomenal software, and I've used it, for many, many years, and I think it's very, very powerful. There's a couple of kind of, you can't even call them limitations, but there is a couple of things that I'm kind of mindful of when I'm working, and that's the kind of the light within the virtual studio bounces once, pretty much, right? So if you're standing next to a white wall, the light will bounce off that white wall and it will see the effect on the subject. Now, if you have multiple surfaces in there, the light will kind of only bounce once. So I'd be kind of interested to see whether they've changed the code for the way that the light is read in these larger scenes to how it will interact. Because as we know, inverse square law, yada yada yada, the sun being so far away, the sun has a very similar exposure, well, almost an identical exposure, whether you're standing 3 feet in front of the camera or 3 miles away from the camera. You're going to be like the same exposure. So I'd be interested to see how they've adjusted the code within the virtual studio area with daylight, to see whether they're going to be accounting for that. I'm sure they have, and how much it kind of interacts with the environment around us. We've kind of gone into details on this channel before about radiosity, right? Those of you that don't know, it's where light changes color as it bounces off surfaces, right? So this is why wedding photographers shooting outside on like grass and that sort of stuff, you can kind of get this green guild effect from underneath, right, where it's kind of like the sunlight is bouncing off the grass and like kind of coming up. And you obviously really noticeable at a wedding, especially if the bride's got a white dress and that sort of thing. You can really start to see that radiosity, as it's called, or color contamination, as the new kids call it. That you can really start to see how that has an effect. And again, it'd be interesting to see how much this deals with that. I'm not expecting it to. It's pretty advanced, and really this is just there for setting up lights and getting an idea of it. But it's something that I'll be kind of keen to look at. Bring your setups to life for 3D animations. Who in here uses Satellite 3D? Does anybody here use it? And I'm sure some of you do. It's pretty powerful software, but if you do use it, how often do you use it? It's like I've never used it. I bought it once, played with it once, or I can't get used to it, or I don't find it useful, or I use it all the time, or yeah. Who is anybody actually using it? It's not that expensive, right? I don't think so. You guys gone to sleep? What are you doing? Are you still there? I tried it, don't like it. Okay. That's fair. That's fair, Vlad. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Oh yes, from Blade Runner. That's cool, man. So there's me saying that I couldn't find anything about it, and looks like they've kind of updated their website, because this website was not like this the other day when I checked. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like it definitely looks like they're taking the infinite exposure into account with that daylight there, you could see that the daylight was the same exposure on the front as it was on the wall, as it was on the subject. Yeah. It's crazy. We've even got like refraction indexes on the glass and that sort of stuff. So, yeah. Okay. Oh, this is the animations as well. Oh, that's cool. So they've updated the website, so I don't have to use my scuffed page plan. Okay. Oh, I haven't seen this. Interesting. Okay. So they really build it into the they're animating the lights as well. Interesting. Okay, as part of the process. That's cool. It looks like they've got a bunch more lights in there as well. A bunch of new heads. Yeah. Yeah. Scenes like that. Animations. Okay. Timeline. Oh, you saw some of the. So they had City Corner and that sort of stuff. Yeah, they've definitely got some new heads in there as well. Okay. Okay. Nice. Oh, they got some of these as well. Okay. This is good, man. This is good. I think it's good. Yeah. That's super useful. Yeah. Oof. Don't know about that setup, but this is cool. This is great, right? This is awesome. Yeah. This is really, really good. Okay. Yeah, good stuff, man. Okay. Look, I don't know when this is coming out. Yeah. It's the other thing, right? That I was going to go into is smoke and fog and haze and atmosphere, which is one thing that I've kind of been playing with a lot more recently, and yeah, it's cool to see it added because it was a pain in the ass trying to fake it in the software. Yeah. I was introduced to the software a few weeks back, but I haven't had the chance to look into it further. Yeah, Melanie, I will say, look, what I'm kind of showing you here now is the new update, and this looks like, oh Christ, this looks crazy advanced, right? This looks like Nazi timelines and all this sort of stuff. Like, it looks like there's tons going on, animations and, moving light and all that sort of stuff. Like, it looks very complex, this new update, but for what most of us have been using it for before is you just open it up and then you just start moving your lights around. This will probably lag the system, but I will just do it real quick just to show you. Right, it can be as simple or as complicated as you want, so you can go, we can just turn this off, boom, right, we can go, and we want more dramatic lighting from the side or whatever, so you can start moving it around, and it really kind of gives you very, very easy to kind of work out, and then you can just change your modifiers in here a little bit, right, grid and all that sort of stuff, and there's you got your tons of different. You can't see it down here, but you just have to trust me. There's loads of modifiers just out of shot down here. You got your beauty dish and that sort of thing, right? Here we go. Yeah, you can see it here. And the same with the you got a bunch of props and that sort of thing as well. So like it's as complicated as you want to make it. But it can be very, very useful, especially when you're starting out playing with colors and that sort of thing as well. But yeah, definitely worth playing with. I think you can use a bunch of it for free as well. So I mean, there's no real risk. Yeah. But yeah, the atmosphere will be very cool. We got here from indoor setups to outdoor scenes, shape your light and sun, fog, volumetric lighting for the first time. Satellite goes beyond the studio, say goodbye to limitations, and bringing your cinematic vision to life, natural light and immersive environments. Simulate the sun with precise positioning. Okay, to create scenes that shift from bright daylight to dramatic nightscapes. Test the interplay of sunlight and artificial lighting. That's cool. And add fog and atmospheric depth to achieve realism. Okay. And that looks legit, man. Okay. Yeah, okay, so we got the density fog up there, time of day, angle. Okay. And like the room scenes seem really developed now. So you can change the Kelvin of the sun as well. Okay, nice. Yep, diffusion. So like clouds and that sort of stuff. Damn, man, looking good, looking good. Okay. Yeah. HDRI, use realistic HDRI maps for natural reflections and ambient lighting. So this is really useful, right? We were just talking about this with radiosity, right? And that's kind of what this is. And we've kind of seen this in newer TV shows that are built or shot on these volume sets, which is basically a room that is all LED TV screens, right? So that, like the roof as well. And what you get is you end up with, if you're shooting the subject in the middle there, and then you have like a desert in the background, right? Then that means that it's going to be, you know, orange on the bottom half and then blue in the top half, right? So that color is reflected back onto the subject just inherently, and that's what radiosity is. So it's interesting that they're actually kind of doubling down on that by bringing in these HDRI environmental maps, which will kind of speak to what I was saying about, you know, the green grass and that sort of stuff. So this looks like a real serious upgrade for sure, man. Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah. Choose from wide range light sources. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, combine modifiers freely. So it looks like they got some new lights in there. Attach over 90 modifiers now. Yeah. Okay. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Yeah, keep an eye out for that. Yeah, I have no idea when it's coming. They just said it's coming soon. Oh my god. See? It's even got false color in there, Vlad. That might be worth a look at if you've already got it. Yeah. See what they're doing. Anamorphic lens simulation. Jesus. Damn, they've really gone all out, man. That's nuts. Okay. Look more involved with the character models as well. This is a serious upgrade. Yeah. I wonder if they're going to, because normally updates have been free. I wonder if they're going to charge us. Yeah. Interesting. I can't believe none of you in here are using this. I'm actually really, really surprised at that. Yeah. That is super useful for learning and that sort of stuff. And it's not, it's not too expensive, although I did get it years ago. Let's have a look. So basic for beginners. Lifetime license, no subscription, includes 1 year free updates, renewable. Okay, so maybe they're going to ask us to renew if we want the updates. Okay. Oh, it's going to be the cinema one. Damn it. Okay, let's see how much the cinema one is. That's what they've done. Okay. That's what they've done. Okay. Euros as well. How much is this basic one for photographers? So 180 euros. Okay. And the basic essential light tool, sunlight. Okay. 100. Okay, so that's what. Yeah, that's. I remember it being 100. So yeah. So here you can see what's included. Okay, so the basic, all main functions. Custom studio templates. No, okay. I will get it and let you know what's actually in there. Okay, interesting. Yeah, very cool. Good stuff. Really scraping the barrel for news now, and we're looking at Nikon 24-70 brought out a new lens for the Z mount. Does anybody here shoot the Z mount? It's apparently a great camera. Yeah, so 24-70 f2.8 s2. So this is the second one. Remember the original 24-70 came out like pretty much along with the cameras back in 2018, which was a smart move from them. I mean, they had long enough to get it already, right? I mean, Christ, they were kind of like the last ones to the party on this. So it's kind of like not that impressive that they had an OG 24-70. It's got to be tough to make the new version of lens with such a big gap to fill, but 24-70 2.8 second version at $2,800. That's pricey, man. That's pricey. Look, I think if you've already got the original, I can't see, just having a glance at this, that it's going to be going to be worth the upgrade unless you're really pixel peeping. I mean, it's supposed to be, extremely sharp, yada yada yada, all that sort of thing. But I mean, I was aware that the original one was pretty sharp. The original Nikon was like the original 24 to 70 was pretty sharp to begin with. Yeah. There's nobody in here shoots the Nikon Z then. Okay, you're all Sony shooters then. Okay. Hey, look, I work with people who do, and I see the files from it that they show me, and it's like, damn, it's good, man. It looks good. I know it's kind of funny to shit on Nikon online, but it's difficult to argue with the results that I've seen with it. You're just like, okay, yeah. I mean, that looks nuts, man. That looks like no joke, man. That looks good. Yeah. Bokeh's a bit uninspirational, but I guess just the nature of the system. Yeah. Switch from Nikon to Sony, so I won't have to deal with the Nikon Z. Really, Vlad? Because you don't want to deal with it. Like, what do you mean by that? You don't want to deal with it. Like, are you just kind of being facetious, or are you just saying, or is it just like, what? I just couldn't deal with the pricing, or like the way that they were dealing with the autofocus, or like the way that they were going with video, or I'm kind of interested. Yeah, I mean, because like I said, some of the files with a couple of people that I work with online with mentoring and that sort of stuff, files look good, man. Yeah, the files look great, really, really good. I was impressed. Yeah. Very happy with Canon used to shoot with the Nikon in the film days. What Canon are you running, Andre? Which one are you using? Yeah. So my last post isn't in the chat. What did you write? Jamie, you didn't say anything to do with black and white, did you? Yeah, what did you post? I didn't even see it redacted there. No, I didn't see anything deleted. Did you post a link or something? Or did you try and post a link? Yeah. You got D6, Andre. Okay. Yeah, and you're pleased with that. Good, okay. Yeah. So Melanie says she's a Canon shooter too. Not even in the RF series, still on the EF stuff. Hey, look, you're talking to the right guy. I still shoot with the Nikon D850, and on Instagram you may have seen that I post back of the camera shots, and like literally just with my iPhone. I've only got the old rectangular chip, I'm afraid, but I just take pictures of the back of the camera with my iPhone, and always the comments are, is that an old D850 you're using there? It's like, yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's a box with a hole in it. Yeah. I've always been that way. I've always kind of run my cameras into the ground, and like I can't preach too much because I'll be the first to sing the praises of like good quality lights. I prefer to spend my money on lighting than on cameras, personally. I know a lot of people, most people do the opposite, right? You chat to people and they've got like $4,000 worth of Sony camera and lens, and they're just rocking around with their 40 quid Young-Yo flash, and you're just like, it's weird to me. I think that's back to front, personally. I think personally you're better off spending your money on decent lighting than the camera, because the camera is just giving you a lot of convenience, right? You can shoot beautiful images on a camera from the 1960s, which is why I shoot with the Pentax up there. You can shoot beautiful images with that. It hasn't got any bells and whistles at all. So personally, I'm always on the fence of, I'm always on the side of the fence, which is like, spend your money on light. Any excuse, like I said, I can't shout at people for spending tons of money on camera equipment, because I got racks and shelves and just stacks of lighting here. So yeah, I can't blame you for spending money. Let's have a look. So Melanie sends shooting Canon. Yeah, Nikon is the only company dumb enough not to support old lenses when on the new system. Yeah, they did it for a long time though, Vlad, right? Like the F-mount, like how long was that? It was like the 1920s or something like that. It was crazy when that originally came out, and you could use like an old Nikon lens on my DSLR. So Vlad, I haven't actually looked into it, Vlad. So are you saying that you can't? Is there a native mount or adapter that they have for the old f-mount lenses or not? Or are they doing the marketing thing of like, if you're going to switch systems, we're going to need you to buy the new lenses and not keep the old lenses? Maybe that was their thinking, right? Trying to get you to spend more money, trying to get you to, you know, jump ship completely. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Use the Nikon FM. Oh, okay, yeah, another one you mean, yeah. Near mint, look at that beauty for 180 quid, eh? Oh, look at that, you know that's from Japan, yeah. You know, if a camera just pops up on screen and looks absolutely pristine, it's like, you know that's from Japan. Yeah, they are crazy for it, man. Yeah, that's nuts, man. Look at the quality of that. They looked after that, or probably resurfaced it. God, the condition of that is beautiful. Look at that, 170 quid. I'm gonna get it. That's crazy. Does it come with a lens as well? It does, yeah. Oof, beautiful camera. Look at that character in there, man. That's what we want. This is what we want. We want this character in here. This is like, look at this. Beautiful. That's what we want. Looking through that, like looking through an old pair of tights. Hardcore says, happy with the Z24-70 lens, likely will not switch. Yeah, Hard, yeah, I mean, that's great. Thanks for chiming in, yeah, because you're somebody who already has the original. And I would have thought, like, you know, look, if I'm a zoom lens guy when it comes to being in the studio. I know people are like, just primes or nothing. I'm very guilty of being lazy. If I had the Z, I would 100% have the 24-70, and I think a lot of people will have the 24-70 like you do. And like you said, probably not gonna make that, what, $2,500 investment on a little bit of extra sharpness, a little bit of extra contrast, from what I can tell, right? From what I can tell. Obviously, we don't have a side-by-side comparison here, but I'm sure somebody's put the two of them side by side. But I take it you're happy with that OG 24-70, yeah? Blood says that any EFT won't have autofocus. Yeah, true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Jamie says, about racing to edit an image from my Sherry shoot, no link, something different from my regular stuff, or I've got Sophie in a mask. You post whatever, Jamie. Yeah, I mean, you're a regular here. We can certainly take a look at both images. Yeah. I've seen the Sophie in a mask one. Yeah, so that's fine. Tommy says Canon here as well. What Canon using, Tommy? Yeah, I always love the Hasselblads. Andre, do you still have any? Andre, do you still have any of the Hasselblads? You know, I was kind of a little bit Emperor's New Clothes on the new digital Hasselblads. I forget what it's called. Just ignore the spelling on that. Yeah. So what was it? I think is it this one? Or there's like an earlier version of this. Yeah. Like I forget which one it was. I think it's the first one. This is the 2, right? Yeah. So this is so this one. And I'm doing some mentoring online with a guy who has one of these, and I was always a bit like, I don't know, it's lost their character and that sort of stuff, and I don't know. Anyway, he showed me some of the files from it, like the raws. You know, he did a beach shoot, and I was like, damn, they look good, man. They look beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. I mean, look, it's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, it's a ton of money, but the files looked beautiful, man. Like the depth of field was absolutely gorgeous on the thing. So yeah, like the newer digital ones have certainly got that spark that they originally had. But yeah, I'd have to agree with you. The OG square Hasselblads, leaf shutters, beautiful cameras. So Richard's got Nikon Z and loves it. Square format, I know, right? Yeah, Melanie, who actually uses all the features on all the menus in the camera anyhow. Keep it simple, Melanie. No truer words have been spoken, and I'm very glad that you're here to keep me company, because I can assure you it's seemingly just you and I that doesn't use all these features. But yeah, I'm like you. I never go into the menu in my TF50. Like I've got the shutter speed, f number, ISO, boom, and that's really all I use it for. Is there anything I've done fancy with it like that? No, like long exposure stuff is just you just turn it to like 2 seconds or 1 second on the shutter dial. Like I don't go in there to do anything. I think maybe I made a white balance profile one time for a digital projector shoot that I did, and I had to create a specific white balance profile in there, but that was really the only time I went into the menu. Yeah, the rest is just now some could argue that's because Nikon doesn't have anything to go into the menus for, which is a fair argument, but yeah. Yeah. Vlad says Nikon has the F to Z adapters, but both only support AFS lenses with autofocus, with some that don't support SD cards and other random stuff like that. Really? Weird. Okay. The marketing, the marketing department uses the menus, so cameras they do. Look, I've had a couple of marketing meetings recently for different brands and their products, and look, I've been in these meetings and I've said, look, that is a sexy feature, right? We can sell that. That is a sexy feature. We got to make sure that we make a point of that. Will people use that feature? No. But that is a sexy feature that sells, right? And there's tons of features like that in products. So that is absolutely right. That the global shutter, right, from Sony, fucking everybody was just like, it's the second coming of Christ. Oh my God, it's finally here. I guarantee like 99% of the Sony users are not using that global shutter to its fullest potential, right? But very easy to sell that. Yeah. See, Richard says Nikon Z is the biggest mount, so you can mount other lenses, adapters. That's a good point, actually, Richard. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's true. Actually, it is a big old mount. Yeah. Andre says yes. I believe most of the Hasselblads. Yeah. So Hardcore says, very happy with the 24-70, so he's talking about the original one, would rather invest in more lights than a minor lens upgrade you mentioned. Yeah, absolutely, man, 100%. Yeah, I wonder how much value you'd get from the old lens, from the old 24-70, but seeing as the new version has come out, you'd probably lose a ton of money on the older version, right? You probably... Yeah, I would absolutely agree with you. I'd say you're absolutely fine with the OG one, yeah. Andre says ELM and CM. Okay. Jamie talking about nonchalant about, we can have Sophie in a mask. Yeah, I need to be careful, right? Because my job, I kind of get not numb to it, but it's just part of the day to day, and I get caught out all the time. Like Sim, when he got me copyright striked or whatever it was with YouTube's twice because he had small nipple covers on one of his images. The nipple covers were too small because I didn't even think about it, right? It's when it's your job, you kind of forget that everybody else gets offended by these things. Yeah. Andre says I used them all for my catalogs work. Oh, really? What these new ones, Andre? Like the new digital ones? Yeah. Or the OG ones? Yeah. Tommy says I use the EOS R mirrorless as the main and a 60 Mark II as a backup when I'm using manual EF lenses. Okay. 60 Mark II. I probably should have put the Canon in. Oh no, I got it. Okay, yeah. Okay. How old is that? It does the job though, right? It's crazy what these things are worth now, man. It's nuts. Yeah. When did that come out? 2017, and it's like 300, 400 quid. When did the Nikon D850 come out? Why is that so expensive? Around the same time. That's nuts. Okay. Jesus. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Why is that so expensive? The body is 1,500 quid. Right. Still got some value. Still got some life in the old girl yet. Damn. Okay. I had no idea it would be worth that much. I didn't even think you could trade it in for a curly whirly these days. I'm amazed. Okay. Yeah. There you go. Sin said, I definitely like to play with the medium format. Inspired by this. Sin, honestly, be careful though, man, because it is one of those things. As soon as you start playing with it, it's difficult, man. Like you fall in love with it, man. The quality of some of these is nuts. Yeah, I mean, depends how seriously you wanted to play with it. I mean, I only play with the Pentax, the 6.7 up there, which is a massive, absolutely huge film format, just an absolute beast, and the depth of field on those is just gorgeous, man. I know you guys have seen this before, but I just want to so this is on the Pentax. Like, it's just like that background is close to her, man. It is close to her, man. It is like she sat literally right in front of that, and boom, is the drop off on these things is phenomenal. Look at the hair, just going out there, right? 1960s, like early 1960s camera, by the way, guys. I'm just saying, like it's a box with a hole in it. Let's not give these guys too much credit. Like they've been pretty good for a long time now. Yeah. Just absolutely beautiful results. Yeah, this was shot on like, I don't know, Kodak Portra 160 or something like that. Nothing fancy, but just absolutely beautiful results. Yeah. And look at this, like the foreground drop off as well. It's just too good, man. It's too good. Honestly, when you start playing with it, like these portraits, just when you see them big, with like medium format shots, when you see them big, like nobody notices on Instagram, of course, but when you see these medium format film portraits big, just beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. And again, I know nobody prints anything anymore, but it's nice to play with it. Yeah. Good stuff, man. But yeah, once you start playing with them, difficult to go back, right? Does anyone use the police light and all the other 50 light effects and RGB stuff? Good, yeah, very, very good point, Vlad. I mentioned this in a meeting yesterday. I was like the effects, because we were kind of joking about Jun having the feature where it would change colors based on the music you were playing and stuff. It's like, I mean, what are we doing here, right? What are we using that for? You're absolutely right, Vlad. Yeah. And the Rotorlight had the diffusion screen on them, right? Which meant that you could turn the diffusion on the front of the. I've got them here, the Titan X1s, and you could dial in the diffusion from 100%, which was like a nice thick, creamy softbox, to 0%. You just dial it in, right? And they won awards for that and all that sort of stuff. And it is a sexy feature, it's a selling feature, right? And easy to sell, right? People use it? No. I don't use half a softbox, right? At no point am I going, oh, do you know what? I wish I had half a softbox right now. I only want 50% of a softbox right now. That's just me, but it's either it's either diffused or not diffused. So it's like there's definitely tons of features on lights that are like that. Yeah. I shoot Astro as well as Studio. Oh, gotcha, Tommy. Okay. Do you know what? If I had to retire tomorrow, I would love to get into the Astro thing. Yeah, I would. Are you the same Tommy that's been in the Facebook page for years doing the Astro stuff, or am I thinking of somebody else? Because I've always wanted to get into it, and I've always been amazed at how relatively easy it is to kind of step into it. Whether it was you or the guy on Facebook was like, you don't need to spend a huge amount of money. You don't need like a telescope. You can just start to do some clever stuff with some relatively inexpensive kit, which I was blown away by. Yeah. Andre says, I used to with film, we're talking about the Hasselblads, but if I need to be rent a digital back for a job, yeah, that pays good. The client needs detail on the images. That's it. I got to be honest, Andre, I haven't had, I mean, it's different. I don't shoot still life work or catalog work or anything like that. So, but I haven't been asked for a high resolution file in years. Like I got a request the other day for like 3048 pixels on the long side. I'm like, Jesus, it's nothing. It's just nothing. A3 is like what, 4,500 or something. It's yeah, it's crazy, man. Yeah. Tommy says, yeah, so full frame old DSLR is decent to carry around at the mountains and just in the dark. Yeah, okay, fair. Yeah. Hey Damien, how you doing, mate? Good to see you, mate. Good to see you. So Sin says, I sometimes put the police light on the AS2 and pointed that out my window from my flat on a Saturday night. It's just fun to see the brake light. Do you know what, Sin? I can so see you doing that. Aren't you an ex-copper? Aren't you? Am I right in thinking? If I remember rightly, I seem to remember you saying something like that. Yeah, it is you, Tommy. Okay, yeah. So it was you telling me on Facebook years ago. It was like, going, mate, it's not that hard. Yeah. So yeah, definitely need to look at it. Definitely need to look at it. Yeah. Right, let's crack on here. GoPro still fighting it out. They've got this new GoPro with a little LED lamp on the front, kind of interesting. Seems like this took way longer than it needed to, but here it is. Yeah, it is you, Sin. Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, you bastard, man. I can so see you doing that. Yeah. So yeah, GoPro bringing out still bringing out cameras. We kind of spoke about this a long time ago with GoPro in that I think everybody bought one way back in the day, right? I bought one, barely ever used it. Like I used it for like not long exposure, time lapse of like one photo shoot one time, and then that was it. But it was just one of those things that kind of everybody bought way back when, and then they brought out like a million different versions of it since, and everybody else is bringing out like these travel cameras and that sort of stuff, or sports cameras or whatever they call them now. So they've kind of struggled to quantify their pricing, you know. But there you go. If you're using your GoPro as a selfie camera, then you're good to go. Yeah. Replaceable lens cover, long-lasting built-in battery. That's actually a cool shot. Yeah. How much is it? From 239. Okay. Okay. There you go. Yeah. How much are the rest of their cameras then? That's the 360 one. We've got the Hero Black 13. So that's the... So how expensive do they go? Like, so this looks like... Okay, so even the ultimate POV camera, like screen on the front, screen on the back. Probably one of their bigger chips. Okay, so even when you go for their most expensive one, it's still around 350. Okay. Yeah. Action cams. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Who owns a GoPro? Does anybody here own a GoPro? Come on, own up. Or did you just buy a knockoff? Sin's probably going to say you just bought a knockoff one off Temu or something. But yeah, it's who bought one and then never used it. So new announcement of the lighting this week was, as I think Steve pointed out earlier on, that yes, the Zhun has brought out a brand new light. This is the X200, which is 200 watt full RGB light, and it's SFIT compatible, right? Which is kind of nuts, because this thing is small, right? So that you can see the SFIT attachment is kind of hanging over the edge. Look, I actually really like the Zhun lighting designs that they've done. I think they do. Back when we were riding bikes, motorbikes, we used to call like a bike that had crashed and the fairing had broken off, and they're still like they haven't got it fixed. We used to call them street fighters, right? And that's what those bikes would be. They would be just like the raw like chassis hanging out the front with no fairing and that sort of thing, and we would call them street fighters. And a lot of the Jun products have that same vibe to me, which is kind of cool, right? Kind of this very raw industrial, like you've taken off the fancy fairing around the outside, and you've just got this kind of raw in industrial look on the inside, which I actually personally really like. And I think as a result of that, they can get away with this S-fit hanging over the front, which kind of looks weird, but I think they definitely make it work. Yeah. So let's have a quick look down here, so we can see the size of it there. 830 grams, 200 watt light. Remember, 830 grams. Yeah. So you've got your V-mount on the side there. This is kind of cool. See, like, that's clever, right? So putting the actual AC adapter has its own fan. So if you're not using it, you're not carrying around like extra fans and all that sort of stuff, which is cool. Like, just ignore the terrible lighting in these videos, but like the quality of the videos is cool. Yeah. The thing is tiny. Yeah, the thing is absolutely tiny. So we got 10-second lighting setup, 200 the ultra bright. Yep. Electronic back, pressure fully upgraded. So again, like 90% of this light is just a massive fan, which is so often the case. 830 grams, we've already said that before. We've got the Bluetooth, wireless dimming, yada yada yada, all that sort of stuff. And we've got these little options down here. So we've got this massive jumbo lighting pack. Look, it's great to have it as an option if you need it, but it also has the ability to have the plug-in thing here, which I personally love. I think that's very, very cool. So you can plug them into the power supply directly. One of the things that I love about my rotor lights is that not only are they battery powered, but they can easily be plugged into the mains. Now that seems pretty obvious, Jake. Like what are you talking about there? But there is actually a bunch of LED lights that rely purely on battery, right? So you cannot plug them in. And you think, well, yeah, I mean, that's cool. That's what I want. I don't want the cables. I want the battery. But if you're on a shoe and something goes wrong, or time goes over and you don't have batteries charged, or you just plug it into the wall. Like, to have that option is just a massive peace of mind. I mentioned about the Godox flash trigger, right? The X3, I think it was, and it's just an internal battery. So it's a beautiful design, but it would make me very hesitant to just bring one of those triggers on set. I would feel like I would need to buy two triggers, and one would need to be charging the whole time whilst I'm using the other flash trigger. Because normally on set, the battery runs out, you just swap out your AA's, boom, good to go, right? But with a lot of these products now becoming purely internal battery that you can't remove or anything like that, or plug in, becomes, in my opinion, a liability, especially on set. So having the option to kind of plug to have this additional side piece here where you can kind of plug it in, it's got its own fan and stuff, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool, and it's really leaning in. Oh, here's the jumbo battery pack thing here, which is kind of weird, but yeah, I like them fully leaning into the S-fit. I think is smart. I do think it's smart. I think it kind of speaks to the type of people who are going to buy this light, because the modifiers are cheap, right? Bowen's modifiers is just 10 a penny. Everybody uses that S-fit attachment point, very, very cheap. So yeah, I think it's smart to kind of lean into that. Let me just clarify what I mean by that. So you look at other brands who have made smaller lights, right, where they're making these compact lights, still got some juice in them, whether it be 150 watts or 200 watts, something like that, and they've gone, well, we've made the light small, let's make the attachment point small as well, so the whole package is small. And it's like, it's cool, but you are going to buy an adapter, like you are, because the small attachment points, like the Nan light, like the baby Nan light that they gave me, phenomenal light, absolutely phenomenal light, but they don't have a ton of modifiers for their baby attachment point. So you kind of got to use it with a adapter anyway. So this is my point. I think it's good that they've kind of maintained the S-fit, and they're like, look, it hangs over the edge. I think they got away with it. I think it looks cool. Yeah. So they do a daylight version as well here. and they do an RGB version. So you see all of these companies are falling into this kind of fudging the numbers a little bit here, right? So you can see the daylight range is 2700 to 6500 Kelvin, right? And that's because it's got a dedicated Kelvin chip. Now the RGB lights are, this is going, look, we can dip into the probably the red and the green chip here to give us an extra 200 Kelvin down here, right? Because the daylight chip is 2700. So they're using the RGB bulbs, chips, whatever you want to call it, to access this lower Kelvin, and they're doing the same on the top end. So we've got 6500 Kelvin here with the daylight one, and then to get from 6500 to 10,000, they're going to be using the blue bulb, right, to give us that extra range. And look, color is color, right? Nothing wrong with it. Just be mindful that you can sometimes see some impurities. So when I was using the Godox soda can lights, right, they do that. And I was using it at like 2000 Kelvin, which it can't do. And it uses the red and the greens. And you, like, most people aren't going to notice this, but I could see that there is this kind of sheen of like slight green in there, so you can see that it's dipping into the red and green, because we're about to cover this in a minute, but red and green make yellow. So that's when these lights are kind of accessing the RGB values, that's when the colors can kind of get a little bit squiffy. So again, super nerdy, most people are not going to care, but it's just something to watch out for when you're seeing lighting brands bringing out a daylight version and an RGB version, and they're able to give you a higher Kelvin range. That's how they're doing it. They haven't got more Kelvin LEDs in there. These values are like a fine. 95 is pretty much the base, right? A little bit higher, but it's still absolutely fine, right? The luminance here, yeah. Oh, this one's a little bit lighter. Okay, yeah. So this has got extra LEDs in it, so it's going to give you more. It's going to be mixing more LEDs, so it's not going to give you quite as much juice as the pure white one here, right? As soon as you start bringing in color from the red and the green and the blue ones, then it starts to kind of not give you quite the same amount. Yeah. There's all the effects that Vlad was talking about. Let's see, they got the cop car in there. Oh, Sin, mate, you covered, mate. You are covered. Yeah. So look, they are, they're going to send it out. I'll take a look. I've been impressed by the other products that they've sent me over the years, so I have no doubt this one will be good. But yeah, you can see the size of them here, right? I mean, you could easily whack four in a rucksack. And this is what I'm kind of thinking, like just four of these in a rucksack, even two in a rucksack, a couple of pop-up modifiers. I've got a beautiful pop-up beauty dish that I got in Hong Kong like 8 years ago for like 50 quid or something. The thing is really good. It's super lightweight, takes up no room, S-fit. Yeah, lighting on the go is just never been easier. Yeah, so impressive little light. Yeah. I'll have to take a look. Yeah. Got a GoPro. You got a GoPro, Vlad, did you? Oh, you do. That's right. You use it a bunch when you were out. That's right. You do. Yeah. Created some 3D printed mounts for GoPros as well. That's right. I remember you made did you make like a vertical mount for it or something? God, imagine if you had a square chip in that GoPro though, Vlad. Just like imagine. Don't need that mount. It's crazy. So we've got a good question here from Richard, who says, have you tried the Aperture Blair lights? Does this make a real world difference, or is it marketing? So what the Blair lights that Richard's talking about there from Aperture is that they've got, rather than red, green and blue, they're bringing in the so what is it, amber and what, indigo and was lime, indigo and lime. That's right. So you got your blue, your lime, your amber, your indigo, and your red. Yeah. So what Richard's saying there is it going to give you better colors? And yeah, it will do. The other real major benefit of that, Richard, is exposure, like consistent exposure. So this, let's just say you have a pure white LED light, so not RGB, right? And it goes from Kelvin 2,500 to 6,500, right? So it may well be like half a stop or a stop brighter, like at 5,000 Kelvin, somewhere there in the middle, right? Because that light is using all of the white balance chips, all the Kelvin chips on there. So it'll have cold chips and it'll have warm chips. So when you set your Kelvin of that light to the middle, that's when it'll be brighter. The issue can be when you're using RGB lights is the same thing, right? So if you're using pure red, right, which is you've only got the red LED on, it's not using the green and the blue LEDs, right? So it's not as bright. So when you're kind of mixing colors, like, so, you know, yellow, just as an example, because we've already spoken about it once, we've spoken about it before, but which is using the red and green LEDs, is now going to give you way more brightness because it's using two LEDs as opposed to one. So what the Blair is doing is it's got more LEDs in there, so you're going to have far more consistent exposure. In theory, I haven't used it, to your point, I haven't used it, I haven't tested it, but in theory, you're going to have far more consistent exposures throughout the colors, which is really useful for somebody like me who you're tweaking like a color or something like that, and now you've got to go, all right, now I've got to readjust the exposure of this light now because I've changed the color. But with these LED lights that have more colored chips in them, the theory is that it's going to be far more consistent exposure, which is actually super useful. And to your point there, like if you're trying to get specific colors like lime greens and that sort of stuff, then yes, it's absolutely going to give you a better result than an RGB light, which is just got a green that is then going to have a little bit of red in it to try and take out some of that green and just add a little bit of yellow. So in theory, yes, yeah. But again, I haven't tested it myself. Yeah. GoPro has a 6x7 sensor. Is that what it is? Yeah. Fallout lights, but 8 heavy V-mount batteries. I know, Steve. Yeah, I know. It's a weird kind of like you know. Okay, fine. Have the adapter if you want to use it. It is kind of weird. Yeah, just like, oh cool, yeah, we got these, and then yeah, we'll just bring this whatever this is, yeah, fridge along with me. Yeah. 6x7 is pretty square, Vlad, I will give you that, but imagine full square though. Just imagine. Blair CG is the latest. So is that what's that bringing in? Cyan and green, Steve? Yeah. The Storm C series expands upon Blair with the Blair CG light engine. Blue, lime, thank you, amber, indigo, red, cyan, and green. There you go. When I was looking at the original Blair, I was like, they don't have green in that original Blair. Which seems weird, which emits higher quality turnable color light than any previous LED. And look, I can believe that. You've got, 5, 6, 7 LED bulbs in there, or chips, whatever you want to call it. That it's going to be very consistent, yeah, very, very consistent, yeah. I am tempted, actually, to kind of see what that's like. Because you can test this yourself. So if any of you have an RGB light, right, and you've probably got it where you've got a dial there that you can go through the hue, right, the hue value from 0 to 360 or whatever it is, right, or 0 to 359, whatever it is, and if you turn the dial, right, you'll be able to on that hue, like you'll see like huge changes in color in like the cyans and blues and maybe like the oranges and yellows and that sort of stuff. When you start going through the red, you turn in that hue value and like the color's barely changing, right? Same as in the blue value, you know, like when you're passing through this chunk of blue and you're like turning the hue, nothing's really changing, and then all of a sudden it'll kind of snap into this big kind of shift of change, and that's purely because you've got those three bulbs that are kind of trying to make up the spectrum. But as we've kind of discussed here, there are kind of, in my opinion, gaps, right? Yeah. So yeah, be interested to see what this is like, and yeah, good stuff. Speaking of these kind of RGB LED heads, a long time ago, many months ago now, I put in a proposal to Profoto for a campaign which they've now okayed. So we'll be shooting their new lights, these new LED lights, in November. This is a serious unit, man. This is a serious unit. And I know a lot of you have, have just kind of written it off from the price, but I went to a kind of a tech demo of this thing, and I was impressed. This is, there's a lot going on in here that we've kind of spoken about with regards to, features that are kind of marketing and that sort of stuff. And there is some of that, but I think there is some like value in here as well. Like, so this has got 3 white chips in this head, which means that it can have this vast Kelvin range and a very consistent exposure across that Kelvin range, which is kind of difficult to quantify in like a picture unless you're actually using it. Ultra wide CCT range from 2000 Kelvin to 15,000 Kelvin, which is massive. It's fucking colossal. It's nuts, right? And this is not using the RGB to do that. Right? This is just clean white LEDs creating this vast Kelvin range. Because we've looked here, right? So the white Kelvin range of this cheap LED here, comparatively, right, is 27 to 65, and you look at this massive Kelvin range. And look, I get it. Not a lot of people are going to be using that, but Kelvins for me is very exciting with regards to what it can do with pushing into those deep blues, and then using your camera to kind of negate that to get some rich oranges and that sort of stuff. So there's tons of scope for me to kind of play with that. But again, three chips in there, so very consistent exposure. More importantly, this thing can flash, right? So this is the first RGB cob light in the world that can flash in the full RGB spectrum. So that means that you can modify that RGB head. Remember, it's modifiable. This is not a panel or anything like that. This is I don't know what ProPhoto has, like 80 modifiers or something like that you can use on this. So yeah, so and it'll flash full RGB, full Kelvin range, right? No ballast, water cooled. Thing is very quiet. There's no extra thing hanging up. This is a serious piece of kit. So look, I know some of you are put off by the price, but I'm very excited about getting my hands on this and kind of putting it through its paces on this upcoming shoot next month, because there's a ton of cool features in here that I'm very, very excited to kind of play with. So yeah, I shall certainly keep you posted on how that goes. I think they want to do a video and BTS and like a proper production on it. So it won't just be Jake's taking some images. It'll be a proper production piece on it. So yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing what it can do, because it is a unit for sure. Steve says Nanlite also has the Nebula C8, is an evolution of the Nanlux's RGB LAC 6-color light engine. The Nebula C8. Are you chat GPTing me here? The Nebula C8 builds on this with the addition of 2 more colors, deep red and indigo. Okay. Does it flash at 2x? Yes, it does, Steve. Yeah. Again, so one thing I don't ordinarily do is do a shoot with a product, and a shoot with a product that I'm going to be filmed doing and talking about that I've never used before. Now I know for a fact every light has its quirks, right? Every light has its characteristics. Some lights do better with certain modifiers than others, right? Some lights are beautiful with hard light modifiers because of the way that light leaves the port. Some lights are great with beauty dishes where it spreads light around it, right? So doing a full blown campaign shoot on a series of lights that I've never ever used before is will be interesting for sure. So yeah, we shall see. My point there, Steve, is that in theory it should shoot at 2x power, yeah, but we shall see. We shall see if it does in reality. So don't quote me on that. Right. So just coming to the end here, is there a standalone for red, green, and blue Is there a standard, sorry, for red, green, and blue for LEDs or gels? Took some shots of the road light with full red, full green, full blue, dark room. In software, it's not true red, green, or blue. There is a lot of variables in there, Richard, and you're right to check it, and I love the fact that you are checking it. So the variables in there is going to be in large part to do with your chip as well, like your camera chip, right? So it's very difficult to quantify and have a standard. Yes, they do have a standard that they all abide by, but like a Sony camera will give you a different red to my Nikon, very different, and Canon will give you a different red to Sony and Nikon and that sort of stuff, because they're all using different chips that record colors in different way, and then you're looking at it on a piece of software that is then interpreting that color as well. So there is a lot of steps in there. I think my advice, if I was doing that myself, knowing that, I know that happens, is that I would have something built in place I would take a controlled test like you're doing, and then I would kind of have like a preset or something like that in Lightroom or Capture One, whatever you're doing, that kind of brings it to where it should be, and then I kind of know where that deficit is. A lot of our chips really struggle to deal with the extreme end of the color, right? So this is where color banding happens a lot, is when you get to the extreme edges of these color gamuts. So reds and the blues being the biggest culprits of this, where you'll have very little variation in color and exposure as the chip really struggles to see any variance in color. It's just the nature of the technology, and we can bring up gamuts and that sort of thing here. Let's have a look. So like this fella here, like the horseshoe as they call it, this is what our eyes can see, right? So this massive range out here is what our eyes can see. And what sRGB, I think, is the internet, which I think is this triangle in here, right? So you can start to see where these reds and that sort of stuff are well outside of that, and then the greens as well are well outside of that. Adobe RGB, which is what most of us will typically use, is kind of in here. A lot of people swear by the ProPhoto RGB. No relation, by the way. But it's kind of pointless because nothing else can see it, right? You can make the images look beautiful in this color profile, but then nothing else can see it. So this is the issue, and then this is why you can sometimes like you go outside, a beautiful day or something like that, and you just be like, wow, like it's like I'm seeing color for the first time. And you are, right? Because you're seeing all these fucking greens and blues and stuff that you literally cannot see. There is no way of you being able to see these colors indoors. Like, it's impossible for you to see them indoors, right? There is no system in place that enables us to see these colors inside. So we talk about going outside and seeing, like, literally seeing this richness in the real world is a real thing, right? So this is where there's this overlap. But to your point, yes, there certainly is a standard for full red and full green and that sort of thing. But there's a lot of variables involved in actually getting there. Yeah. How do you get the true RGB? I mean, I believe that most lights, unless they're very cheap, using crappy LEDs, but yeah, most half decent LEDs are giving you true RGB. It's just that you're not able to leverage that with the system that you have. Yeah. Thanks, Jamie. I'll take a look. Yeah. You can take your red value from your RGB light into Lightroom and kind of bring it as close as you can to that value, but it's just something that you kind of have to push and pull around. Like I said, you could shoot it on a different camera and you'd get a different result. So it's not necessarily the light's fault. Yeah. Lightroom has a setting called camera standard for those that don't know, which shows on the image compared to without Adobe changing the colors compared to Adobe Color, Vivid, etc. I know Canon is quite, yeah, like the and there's so many variables, Tommy, with that. You're absolutely right with the Kelvin as well, because I did an article a long time ago on Kelvin values in cameras and what they really mean. Because if you set your, let's just say you set your Nikon camera to the lightning bolt, right? I know you guys probably don't do that. I'm sure you dial in your Kelvin values precisely, right? You don't just set your camera to the lightning bolt when you're shooting flash. You know, you're dialing in the exact Kelvin value, 5328 or whatever it is that you're putting in there. I'm sure that's what you're doing, and you're not just switching it to the lightning bolt. But if you were to switch it to the lightning bolt on a Nikon camera, you would get a very different color than if you were to switch the Canon, like the Canon camera, to the lightning bolt. So the two camera systems have a different understanding of what flash color is, and I think that Canon is typically warmer. So you've got, not only do you have the RGB values, but then you've got the Kelvin values of your camera as well, Richard, that you need to be mindful of. Yeah. So I got sent a little video here from our friend Renee Robin, right? And Renee Robin is in charge over there at Boris FX with making, some updating the software and that sort of thing. She sent me this over, this kind of little technique that she's been playing with, and it's pretty interesting. Those of you who are faint of heart and get easily offended, tough, I guess. You've had your fair warning. If kids are in the room with you, maybe just mute the stream for 2 minutes.
Okay, I'm just going to show you this because this is fucking cool. All right, now we are in optics, in color, and you can do this. So full disclosure, the thing that I'm going to show you, you can do with like almost any filter in all of optics. It's fucking bananas. I just found out about it. So let's go to color correct, and let's grab Ben-Hur 1959. I'm just arbitrarily picking something. So what's fucking bananas is that there is this thing called variations in optics, and this is like a hidden secret squirrel thing that's like cool as fuck. So let's first of all, let's grab master hue slider. So what this does is this opens up the variation slider here, and this gives me 9 variations, and I can adjust. So I can make how many variations I want. I can make it 10, I can make it 1, whatever. I'm gonna pick 9, so it gives me an odd number so that the default one is right in the middle. So this is the current settings, but I can change this from 8 all the way to 100. So what this is doing is it's pushing how far, it's giving me variations based on how extreme of the adjustments I want it to be in the shot. Where this gets even more fucking crazy is like, so let's grab hue, and then let's grab the temperature of the midtones. Let's just grab that. What this now does is this gives me an entire list of gradient. And again, I can adjust how extreme I want these variations to be. So I can make this super extreme or super subtle. And now I can go through and I can click on these. And this, what this will do is if I click on, let's take this green and magenta one now. What this is going to do is this creates now my new baseline, and it gives me a whole new set of variations. This is insane. This is bananas. This is like, I don't know, for a color guy like you, I feel like this will be a really interesting feature, because then again, everything here is still adjustable on the right-hand side. Everything is customizable. It's just giving you a brand new set of defaults to play with. And if you're just like, oh my God, I've gone too far, you just hit Control Z and it takes you back, Control Z and it takes you back to exactly where you were before. And like, this is fucking nuts, dude. I don't know if you're as excited about this as I am, but it's real fun, and I wanted you to know about it.
Well, Renee, thank you so much for sending that over. It looks like I've been crazy, flat out busy the last couple of weeks. I haven't really had a chance to play with anything. But she sent this over to me the other day, and it seems pretty powerful a tool in terms of what you can kind of get some inspiration on colors and that sort of thing. Now, I will say that, not blowing smoke here, but like that has been lit very cleanly, right? So there's no color banding, there's no smudging of colors where you get variations of colors. This has been lit extremely cleanly to keep these colors very separate and very rich. And as long as you're doing that, the results that she's showing you here are going to be very clean, right? Like the variations that you can get on the colors from that, and just pushing and pulling that. And there's almost too much choice, right? There's almost too many options to play with. But those of you, I think you're using Boris effects. I know Jamie, you're using Boris effects. You are as well. And play around with. I mean, I was going to say I can do something with the video, but I've just live streamed it. So if you want to watch back what she did, then you certainly can do. And when I get a chance, I will certainly open up Boris Effects and have a look myself. But I was amazed at how clean the colors were in how they ran color. And you own Boris Effects, then check it out. If you're not sure what Boris Effects is, I'll give you a link here. Just be mindful that this is whatever they call it, an affiliate link or something like that. So you save money when you use that link, but I get a beer out of it or something, right? So if you are interested in Boris Effects, then that is there's a very powerful tool that we've spoken about a couple of times on this channel here. But yeah, Renee's just using it a fraction of what Boris Effects can do, and she's just playing with the color tools here, which is nuts. Yeah. So again, yeah, thanks to Renee for sending that over, and I do hope to kind of go through that myself and see if I can see what I can do with it, because you just picked the Ben-Hur over here, but you got tons of other starting points as well if you wanted to have something softer or more lifted there or saturated, then you can certainly do that. Yeah. Even Lightroom has a different understanding of Kelvin. I know, Vlad. Yeah, there's so many variables. Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, if I set my Sony to 4500, it comes in at 5,000. Yeah, exactly. No, you're absolutely right. And you're right on the Nikons. It's nowhere near as big a shift of that. But yeah, and Lightroom. Well, I don't know who's introducing tint values into it as well, but yeah, different softwares will introduce different tint values. So magentas, plus and minuses as well. So yeah. She swears more than me. Yeah, Renee's great, man. Yeah. Bloody hell, you could get lost in the plugin for weeks. I know, Jamie, it's crazy. That's why. Do you know what? Like, because she kind of mentioned it to me. She's like, I've been working on this new technique and that sort of stuff. And then she showed it to me. I was just like, I need to sit down, man. And this is not CapCut where you just go, yeah, boom, just randomize some shit and off we go. This is deep. Yeah, he's just so much, granular control was wild. Yeah, software is done with pure math and nobody knows it actually. I think do you know what, Vlad? I think it's one of those things that grows beyond your grasp. Yeah, and I do feel like this is one of those softwares where because this is not a new feature. Renee has just kind of been playing with it. She's been working with the software for years and years and years, and then you can hear how excited she is about this and what this offers. But it's been possible for ages. Yeah, it's fucking amazing. Yeah, it is, Tommy. It's nuts. Yeah. Can someone Photoshop a same tone? You guys are fucking savage. I haven't got around to playing with it yet. It's just waiting to do Fantasy Piece. Yeah, but I haven't set up a shoot with it for it yet. Yeah. You're talking about you're talking about playing with Boris Effects. Yeah. It's difficult, right? Because it's so powerful. It has so many options and is so just so incredible at what it's designed at that it can be overwhelming. Because Renee sent this to me ages ago, maybe 18 months ago, right? And then 6 months ago, I started to just you know what, let's just have a play, and you just kind of open it up and you dip your toes in and that sort of stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, this is really cool. And I mentioned to her, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll probably open it up on stream and probably have a chat to the guys about it. And she's like, yeah, that'd be cool. And I was like, well, why don't you come on and do it? Oh my god! When she came on and did the stream, I was like, thank Christ I didn't embarrass myself by by just playing with this tiny corner of Boris Effects and I was just barely even scratching the surface. So thankfully she came in and gave a half decent overview of what was possible. But even then, like, you know, she was on for like 2 hours, and still there's just so much more that we could play with. Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah. So yeah, definitely check it out if you haven't already. Okay, so kind of want to get into talking about what I've been working on for a long time now, the last 18 months or so, which was this new course, which is currently a lighting workshop. It's my Color 2.0 course, and the tagline for this is really been something that was kind of a meme, and then I was like, you know what, it kind of works, because it was like the tagline for this is a new generation of color, and it's kind of made more sense as the years has gone by, because LED lighting and RGB lighting, like we've kind of been chatting about the nuance and variance in colors here in chat, which has been great, and it's something that we all kind of go through. And RGB and, you know, Blair and CG, like just so many different ones, right? So many extra colors that have just been thrust upon us. And look, I've been shooting with gels for like 20 years or something like that, and even at my peak of gelled lighting, I had like maybe 24 colors or something, right? Maybe a few more, but pretty basic, right? And then you just put any cheap RGB light in your hand, and you've instantly got millions of colors, right? With, you know, like the half decent ones touting 16 million colors, and that's a sort of thing, which is nuts. Yeah, it's absolutely just insane. And we were just talking about there in Boris FX about too many options. Sometimes it's just like, oh my god, there's too many options. And sometimes with the RGB lights, again, it can be like too many options. How do we kind of start digging into these lights and really seeing what they can do? Because, you know, shots like this are totally unique to LEDs. Like, this is not possible with flash. Like, years ago, this shot is just not possible, right? You can only do this by spreading your light source out over a larger area, and it opens up these beautiful kind of colorscapes that you can achieve that are really just not possible with flash, right? So this workshop, and there is a video on YouTube of me kind of talking through my initial ideas and what's involved with this. But yeah, the workshop itself, what we're going to be doing is doing five setups on the day. As you saw there, like the first event here on October 25th is sold out. I have opened up a second date here on November 1st. I think we're just over half full on that already, which is great. The process on the day is going to be five setups. You know, this is going to be the first one, and again, this is really going to be harnessing those RGB lights, where we are going to be really just playing around with these beautifully unique soft colors that can kind of harmonize really well together, as opposed to gels, which are kind of fairly aggressive, right? You've just got this one gel, there's no nuance in that. It's like, oh, if I could just take a little bit of saturation off that, or if I could just add a little bit of blue so that it matches more with this, you know, cyan, so the pinks and the cyans like kind of harmonize. With gels, you can't really do that. So with RGBs, you can really start to get into the nuance of color. And again, like, look at these beautiful soft washes of color that you're able to achieve, that is very tricky to do with flash, right? So these kind of colorscapes that I mentioned before opens up a lot of options, right? So setup one, very, very cool. And then moving on to the second setup, which is going to be us playing with some long exposure and flash. And again, RGBs, great for long exposure, ambient lighting, great for film and video, but we'll be shooting long exposure images just to get this sense of movement here. And then I'll be using the Rotolight LEDs that have the ability to flash via the camera trigger. So we're able to get this nice crisp image of the model being frozen in time, and then we're just adding this ambient light with the other LEDs to kind of get this sense of movement, just a little bit more energy in the shot, right? And this kind of model echo, as I call it. So again, one of my favorite techniques to use, that flash and long exposure, but it's just become even easier with LEDs. The third setup we're going to look at is something that is extremely exciting, and one that I think is completely slept on at the moment, and has got so much scope. I've done maybe 4 or 5 shoots using this technique. I've had clients asking for it now as well, which is awesome. And every time I do it, you kind of look at new ways that you can kind of create this effect. Because again, as you probably noticed, we're kind of mixing this ambient light with flash and able to create these very beautiful energized images. So looking forward to covering that one. And then, for the last couple of setups, we'll be playing around with these tubes. And these tubes are a ton of fun. And the reason I say that is because typically with normal flash lighting, what we're doing is we are setting up a light exactly where it's going to be, and we're like, okay, move your chin a little bit, something like that. With these LED tubes that I'm using, that has like a 320 degree coverage. Like normally with the LED tubes that you buy, you have 180 degrees, right? So imagine a circle cut in half. This side of the circle is got light coming out of it, and this side of the circle is pure black. So these tubes enable 320 degrees, so it's like a tiny thin strip where it's not producing light, but it enables us to have light in the shot, so both lighting her and we can see the light as well without it being hidden by the black casing. But this was kind of interesting. I delivered this workshop to somebody a couple of weeks ago, 2 weekends ago now, something like that. And you set this up and you find yourself kind of walking around the set. Very, very cool, because there's so many different shots to be had once you start playing with this. This is not something that you just kind of set up and you've got this one angle. You're kind of moving around the set to get the shot that you want. So it's like ton of fun. And then this one we're going to be introducing a little bit more color, right? You can see we've got color background as opposed to the pure black background, and now we can really start to play with this beautiful color contrast. But just look at the lighting on the face here. The light source is in the shot and you're able to get this beautiful lighting on the face, beautiful drop off. Look how it fades into these different colors here, and this is the color scape that I'm kind of talking about here. So tons of fun to play with these, and this is going to be my first ever LED workshop. I think it's got a lot, and one of the parts of this workshop is that there's a ton of information in here, and it comes in the form of that 77-page PDF, right, of notes, right, which is this monster here. Right, and like last week we were kind of talking about the differences between flash and LED. We went through this chapter. This week I kind of want to look at the color and light chapter and see if there's anything in here that you can kind of glean from this. I know last week you guys seemed to find this pretty useful, so this week hopefully we can find something of use in there as well. Let me just skip back here a second. I just want to make sure I don't miss any questions in here. Does Juju let you use haze? Yes, Richard. Yeah. It was designed for that. LED tubes are fun. They are fun. Yeah. I should pop this in chat as well. I do have a discount code for you guys in the stream as well, and I know for the workshop on the 25th, some of you watched the stream. You use that code. So if there's anybody left in the stream who couldn't make the first date and wanted to come on the following week on November 1st, you certainly can do. Just use the code JHP Live 50, okay, and that gets you 50 quid off the course price, okay. So let's get into the PDF here, and let's just kind of have a look at where we're at with this. So let's come down here to the chapter that we are going to be looking at, which is going to be the color and light chapter, okay. So why is this important? Like, why do we really need to know too much about this? Let me just adjust this because I think the PDF is cropping off at the bottom there because it's full screen and you guys are not full screen. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So why is this relevant to us? How much do we need to know about color? Surely it's just a case of if I like a color, use it, off we go, job done, right? There is some method to the madness if you interested in getting into the kind of the weeds with it. And for starters, there's actually two color wheels. There's a subtractive color wheel, which is this one on the left here, right? And we have an additive color wheel, which is this one on the right. So the subtractive color wheel is the one that you've probably encountered the most, right? It's the one that artists use and painters have been using for, centuries, right? And this is the one where a lot of the color theory comes from. And this is the primary colors. We got the red, the blue, and the yellow, right? So this is our primaries here. And then the additive color wheel is something that's come along in more recent years, and that deals with the screens, right? Your mobile phones or your laptop or whatever it is. This deals with the additive color. So what happens when we add colors together using light? Okay, in this example, right? And you can see here that the primary colors are kind of not where they should be. We have the red, the green, and the blue, right? So these are now our primary colors in the additive color wheel. Now, you don't need to remember this color wheel. I'm just really informing you that this is what happens, and this is how we can use different color wheels for different jobs. Because this subtractive one here is paints, right? Basic stuff, right? When we were kids at school or whatever, we'd be mixing the paints together in school, and like I'm sure if you can cast your mind back that far, you know that when you mix in more and more different colors together, the darker and darker that kind of muddy brown purpley splodge of paint becomes, right? And that's exactly what's going on here. We have the primaries, you got your red, the blue, and your yellows, right? And then you mix them all together, you're kind of getting closer and closer to this dark point. And you can even see here, this kind of happened by accident, but you can kind of see that we're kind of, as these colors here are mixing, you're getting the greens and that sort of thing. So the more colors you mix together, the more paints you mix together, the darker you actually get your final image, your final color. So I went for too many pages. So the other color wheel is the additive color wheel, which is the one that you're using to watch this stream on. You're using an RGB screen or whatever it is you're using. This is how it's making up those different colors for you, so that you can actually see the different colors on your screen, and it's mixing these colors together to achieve that. So again here, this is just red, green, and blue light on a wall, right? And then when we bring those three lights together, this is the effect that we get. Now, some of you may have picked up on what's going on here, and before I mentioned about that image that Renee was using, which was my image I shot a while ago, but I mentioned to you about how the colors were very separate, right? The colors were very clean, separate, very bold and saturated, because those colors were separated on the body using technique and modifiers. And that's how you're able to achieve these saturated colors, because when we mix colors on the body, this is what's happening. Colors are getting closer and closer to the white point. So if you've ever played with colored gels in the past and you're like, cool, mixing all my colors together, and like, oh yeah, throwing the red on there, and I get the blue on there, like, yeah, cool. It just gets washed out, right? The colors get desaturated, get very washed out. And what can happen if you're not careful, where those two colors meet together, you get this kind of weird banding effect, right? And that's what we don't want. So, part of my training has always been about teaching you how to keep these colors separate on the body, which is difficult to do because the body is a small area. It's got plenty of curves and shapes and different angles and that sort of stuff. So how are you doing that? And typically I'm doing that with modifiers and distance and technique to make sure that those colors are separated, and then as a result, very rich and highly saturated, right? So the main point I want you to take away from this is the more colored lights you mix together, the closer you get to white light, okay? So just to recap, we've got the subtractive color wheel on the left and the additive color wheel on the right, which is lights and then paints on the left. Really, you don't need to know too much more than that, other than the fact that like these color wheels, I would recommend using the subtractive color wheel, so the painter's color wheel, for color theory, right? So colors that you want to look at and go, I want a complementary color here. I'm using magenta, I want a complementary color to go with that, or purple, I want a complementary color to go to that. Use the subtractive color wheel, boom, and this will give you more harmony in your shot, as opposed to using the additive color wheel where you go, I want to use a complementary color over here, and then you end up with green. That's not what you want, right? It's not going to look good. So use the painter's wheel for color theory, and then the additive wheel when you're actually mixing your colored lights, right? So again, as photographers, especially those of us that use colored lights, we kind of need to use both of those wheels. So this is a cheat sheet, right? This is the cheat sheet that will kind of explain what certain colored lights do when they're mixed together. Some of them are surprising, some of them make sense, some of them are odd, but this is pretty much the global cheat sheet that you could happily use for most situations, right? And we can see here we've got the red and blue lights make magenta, and we kind of know that, right, from here. Boom, red and blue, magenta, right? And then we get red and cyan, N, which is for neutralized. This is where it gets weird, right? So some of these colors will neutralize themselves. So, and I use the term neutralized rather than white or gray because it's not technically that they just kind of cancel each other's color wavelengths out, right? So if you were to take a shot with colored light using red and cyan lighting, you've got to be very, very careful that those lights are very clearly defined and clearly separated, because if they ever fall on top of one another on the shot, like on the body or something, you're just going to get this ugly neutralized tone in the middle here. And remember, it's not going to be on a white wall, it's going to be on the skin, so you're going to get that weird skin tone coming through, and then red and cyan, that sort of thing. So some of these just really darken down certain colors, so you're going to have dominant colors that will kind of not really do too much, just make it darker. So we're using a primary and a secondary. Adding the primary on top of that is just going to make it darker, right? So this kind of that kind of makes sense. One of the weirdest ones is red and green. And I mentioned it to you a couple of times already this evening about mixing, RGB, and how we get warmer tones in the kelvins is to kind of mix red and green together, because oddly enough, that's how you get yellow. That's how you get that warmer tone. Because remember, we're not using a yellow LED. So so getting yellow is from red and green. That is by far and away, to me, the oddest one. For me, that's the one that stands out as being the strangest reaction to me. Like the others I can kind of, that makes sense, but like the red and green making yellow is weird, right? Cyan and yellow neutral, magenta and yellow neutral, right? Again, so you're dealing with secondary colors when you're mixing secondary colors together, right? Magenta and yellow secondary neutralize each other. Let's have a look. Again, yellow and blue, we kind of know that from the orange and blue we kind of get to. Nothing else crazy here. One thing that surprised me was that orange doesn't exist. Right? One thing that surprised me out of all the combinations that I made, that I never once made orange. Right? It's kind of this outside color that I had to introduce manually afterwards. And I've just added orange down here in the footnotes, as it were, because this is what happens when you mix orange with other colors. And the reason I'm using it here is because orange and teal, or orange and blue, which is what you see me using a lot, or or a lot of other people, when those two colors mix, that they will neutralize, which is not what you want, right? And that's where the color banding and the nasty colors that you see on people just kind of playing with gels, that's why that's why their color gel shots look like that. It's because they haven't kept those colors separated. Okay. If you want this sheet, it is on my website. I'll just grab it for you. You can find it. I think it's in here. Yeah, there you go. So there's a bunch of these quick tip sheets in there. Is one of the pages there. So if you wanted to grab it for yourself, you can do. Put that in there as well. So just just open that up, right click and grab that, and then you've got it. Someone was me, and I have to say it was super fun and amazing workshop. So so what Damien's saying there, so Damien was the guy that came over, and we did the workshop together a couple of weeks ago, and he left me a couple of fantastic testimonials that I will put together in an email. And but I'm very pleased that you found it useful, mate. I know we got a lot done on the day, and thank you for chiming in there. Melanie says, interestingly, red and green is used to make used by makeup artists to correct skin tones, e.g. they put on green color over red blotchy skin to even it out. It's weird, right? I've seen, because you see people using green all the time to make skin tones. Yeah, so like if you ever watch painters work, you'll see them add like a ton of green. You're like, oh my god, what are you doing? And then it's weird. It just blends in. It doesn't make any, to me, I find it really odd. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Melanie, and thank you for adding that. Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, it is crazy. It's something like an underlying tone or whatever it is. Yeah, it's weird that it works, but yeah. Okay, let's carry on here. So now we can kind of get into the reality of it, right? Like what does it really look like when we're really using these? It's all very well, these renders, but what does it really look like once we actually start putting this into practice here? So here we've got additive and secondary colors from additive primary colors. So red and blue. This is how we get the secondaries, right? We've already spoken about that, getting the magenta. I've already spoken about the red and green, getting the yellow here, right? And the green and blue giving us this cyan color. So these ones, cool, makes sense. Can you see the banding here? Right. This just happens with the technology that we have, whether it be the chip or whatever it is that's going on. But you can see this banding that's happening here, right? It doesn't like it. The technology does not like it. I'm not adding this. I'm not doing some weird dodge and burn effect to get this ugly ass effect here. It just happens when we start mixing colored lights with the technology that we have and that sort of stuff, and you start to see the banding again here. It really doesn't like it. Yeah. Thankfully, once they get mixed in properly, it's like, okay, we're good, but we don't like joining. It's when you push two cells up against one another, and they're kind of like, no, I don't want to do it. And this is kind of what this feels like to me. It's weird, this banding effect that can happen, and this is bad lighting, right? This is where nasty lighting can start to shine through, and I'm sure you've seen gel shots online where this is happening, right? This is why it's happening. So here we go. Here's the nasty lighting. The nasty gel lighting that I was talking about, but all we're using here is a red light, a green light, and a blue light. So these are the three lights you can see here, right? And they're used, these shots are just with each light on separately, and then I turn them all on, and then this is what we get, right? So if you're curious about the setup here, what this is a model standing in front of a whiteboard, and then probably 2 feet behind that whiteboard is another whiteboard, right? Which enables me to keep these colors separate. So I can shine the green from the left and it not really affect the board behind her. So that's how I'm able to get these different colors happening in the same scene. So, and we can see it happening here, right? We can see the yellow. Right, because remember the red is coming. We can see the shadow here, so the red is coming from over on the right hand side. It's making this board nice and red here. It's also hitting this board, but we can see the yellow where it's mixing with the green here, right? But notice this white light, because remember there is no white light in this image. This area here is where all three of these lights are falling on top of one another. That's where they're neutralizing, and we're getting these nasty color banding effects and just these artifacts and that sort of stuff on the skin here, where the light is just like this is not good. Right? But yeah, so this is, and you can see this the cyan down here, right, where the green and the blue are falling. You see the blue is falling here, the blue and the green is falling here. See how the red is shadowed by her, so we're able to get this cyan color here. So yeah, so this is the reality when we start mixing these nasty RGB values in the same area. I mean, it's kind of cool as a classroom experiment, but like the results are just terrible on the skin, right? And I'm sure you've all seen gel lighting images where this happens, right? So not only are we getting this nasty banding, but we're also stacking colors on top of one another, which is increasing the exposure. And as we increase the exposure, we start to reach that saturation limit. You can see the red starts to get blocky and stuff here. That's why that is happening. Dog snoring, if you can hear that. I apologize. Here is the red and green, which is, again, wild to me, and one of my favorite interactions when it comes to colored light, if there is such a thing. But this is the one that I absolutely love the most, because it's such a bizarre effect to me. Because remember, this shot here is just red and green lights. All this yellow is purely coming from the fact that these red and green lights are falling on the same area, right? Remember that the red can't get over here. Yeah. The red is filling in this shadow that's being cast by the green. Yeah, this is and then when they're falling on the face here, we get this effect as well. I'll just show you another example of that here. So this is a great example of that, right? We're able to use these color combinations. Probably just get banned again. Use these color combinations to get these beautiful color mixes that are just absolutely gorgeous on the skin. You know, the skin looks absolutely beautiful, right? So yeah, you can certainly get some beautiful results if you're careful with the modifier that you use, the distance that you use, and just watching where your shadows are falling and stuff. Here you can see the shadow cast by one of these arms here, and then it's just being filled in by the red. Yeah. So again, the other one, red and the blue, giving us this beautiful, strong, kind of purpley color. But can you see how the digital chip in our cameras really struggles with this? This is kind of, we're down at the far end of the spectrum here in like the ultraviolet, where there's kind of no variation in tone at all. It's just all blending together and giving us this very kind of like lack of depth, right? We have no idea whether this tone here is like 2 feet away or 50 feet away. Like it's just this very like no tonality or gradient in the color, and again, that's because we're at the far reaches of the gamut there, and this is why these colors can look like this when we do that. And again, like nasty kind of banding on the face here, and like here again, you kind of see where the color is breaking up as it can't work out what color it wants to be as it's moving around the body, as it were. But yeah, very, very, very strong magenta color when you're mixing the red and the blues. So coming back to the, the additive and subtractive color wheels and that sort of thing. So using the color theory from the painter's color wheel or the subtractive color wheel is where you want to be. And the most obvious color theories, or the ones that we are most familiar with, shall I say, are going to be the complementary colors, which are the colors that are opposite one another on the color wheel, right? So the reds and the blue, or the oranges and the blues and that sort of thing, the purples and the yellows, they're the ones that we kind of use the most. Then we got the triadic colors. So this is really looking at a triangle overlaid on the color wheel, and the most obvious ones being the primary and secondary, right? So you got the red, yellow, blue. Logos use that color theory all the time. Burger King, right? Red, yellow, blue. Pretty basic. But if you need to use 3 colors that need to be as contrasty to one another as possible, the only way to do it is to use the triadic color theory there. And now just colors are kind of the opposite to that, where they just kind of look at colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. And this is very easy to do with like sunset scenes, right? The sun's gone down, maybe you've got some haze in the sky, everything's nice and rich and orange, so everything is kind of bathed in this orange light. This is where you would get this analogous color scene coming. In TV and movies, you'll see like this color scheme used for like nighttime scenes, right? Everything is like kind of bathed in this kind of deep blue tone, and you just have variations of blue. So this would be an analogous color scheme, that nighttime look or scene. So this is kind of where we get into the weeds a little bit of how we can start to use some of this knowledge to do things that are kind of cool, or be mindful of things not to do, right? So here I'm talking about mixing subtractive complementary colors. So remember, subtractive is the painter's color wheel, right? So, and we just looked at it the opposite. The complementary colors on there are going to be purple and yellow, red and green, and orange and blue. So if we use that painter's color wheel and we start to mix those colors with light, we get you know, weird results. Typically here, they neutralize one another, right? Now, the red and the green is the only one that doesn't. The red and the green is the only one that gives us this kind of rich, beautiful yellow color, but the purple and yellow is going to neutralize. Orange and blue, as we know, neutralizes, okay? I tell you what's weird, like when I was kind of doing this, shooting these images, I was aware of the theory, right? And, you know, kind of like, cool, I'll just kind of shoot this, you know, to grab some shots. It is weird when you kind of shine these lights on the wall, like I'm taking these shots, and I just move them onto one another, and I just like, it is weird that they just neutralize, like in front of your eyes. Is just bizarre. Like you just have these rich colors and then they're gone, right? Which is obviously as the wavelengths of light kind of cancel each other out. Same with the orange and blue. It's bizarre. And I've spoken several times in the past about keeping these colors separate. There's several articles and that sort of thing I've done over the years where, let me see if I can bring it. Let's see, we got one of these articles. Yeah, here we go. So one of these articles here, yeah. So like where the orange and teals are not being kept separate in this image, right? And they overlap, and as they overlap, they neutralize. And it's where this neutralization that gives us this really washed out, ugly color. Yeah, which we can see. So this is what it looks like in reality. Yeah. So definitely avoid those. Right. So let's take this, you know, theory one step further. Let's use that orange and blue, and let's use it in an actual photo. So again, here she's back in that same setup. She stood against the whiteboard. There's another whiteboard 2 feet further back, shining these two lights onto her. Isn't it crazy how neutral it really is? Because there's no white light in this shot. It's just an orange light on her and a blue light on her, right? Orange from the right, blue from the left. But look at how perfectly neutralized these two colors become. It's nuts, right? I mean, you can use that to your advantage for sure. Like you can get this kind of quirky effect here. Not sure how you would use it, but it is a powerful tool to be mindful of. Yeah, because it's not just fancy color theory that doesn't really pan out in reality, inverse square law, but this is like actually happens. Yeah. So yeah, just to kind of wrap this section up here, you know, this kind of final page here talking about like the complementary colors, the orange and blues. You know, I'm sure you guys have seen me use this a lot in my work in years past. We've got the triadic, right? So the triangle on the color wheel there. You got your primary red, blue, and yellow, right? So we got the, you know, red fill light, yellow in the background, blue as a key, you know, and then doing more of it here as well. Just using those three colors to, you know, create that harmony, if you like, right? And then now just colors. So here I do like this combo at the moment. Really nice, where you get this kind of pink, purple, blue, beautiful kind of wash of color. And again, LEDs and their saturation values enables you to get these washes of color, right? It doesn't need to be cranked to 100 the whole time, so you can do a ton of those. So here we've got triadic secondary, so the pink, teal, and the orange, something that I used for many years, that creates a very impactful shot. You know, pink on the background, orange fill, and then teal key, very powerful. And then we've got some examples of overlapping colors here, so red and green giving us this beautiful yellow color. We have the orange and blue. This is one of my very early gel shots, like nasty. So where she is covered in blue light, and I've tried to bring the orange lights in, but there's just no orange there because it's being neutralized, right? And then overlapping color again, like one of my very early gel shots from many moons ago, where I've just kind of gone, yeah, it'd be cool to get red, blue, and yellow just everywhere. Just, yeah. So you kind of get blue, you know, shadows in the eye sockets there, a little bit of red in the background with the hair, but you just get this kind of mess, right? Yeah. So just some examples there at the end. Yeah. And then obviously we go into quality of light section, but we will leave some of the the meat on the bones for the workshop, right? So yeah, kind of a lot to go over there. I know I'm just kind of skimming over the surface of what color theory and how we can use colored light to our advantage there, because I'm not talking about specularity, I'm not talking about radiosity, I'm not talking about density or the modifiers or the distance and light drop off. I'm not talking about any of those things, and all of those things have an impact on your final colored image, which we're going to go over in the workshop. But if you can kind of get any semblance of control over that, you're able to sculpt and, you know, kind of paint your subjects with color, with like maximum saturation and in a very small space as well. So something that kind of I've obviously been working on for many years, but yeah, definitely looking forward to getting stuck into the course and seeing how, you know, people respond to it, I suppose, because there's certainly a ton there. Yeah. Okay. So again, there's the course link there. Just pop that in the chat there, so don't get confused with the other links. And yeah, and again, if you wanted to save 50 quid on that, and you wanted to come along, JHP Live 50, I think it is. Yeah. Save yourself a few quid for watching the stream, and yeah, we're going to see a bunch of you on the 25th, which will be good, and then yeah, I'm sure we'll sell out the next one on November 1st. But yeah, should be good. Any questions on that, then let me know, and I can certainly cover them. Right, so it's getting late. Let's have a look at the images that you guys have been working on. Let's see what we got here. So let's give this a quick refresh. See what we've got. I've got some stragglers, I see. Oh, nice, Jamie. That looks good, man. Yeah, nice. Yeah. Good stuff. Okay, so we got a bunch more. Good. All right. Let's get cracking on this then. We got. Let's see. One from Vlad here. Just grab a drink before we carry on. See how these colors harmonize, though? You see that? Nicely done. I got to. What does this look like in black and white, Vlad? Have you tested it? Like how neutral does it look? Trying to see if I can book on November's course, but we'll last minute thing. Please return it next year. Yeah, we'll see, Melanie. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, but definitely this will be the last one this year, just because it's nuts for the rest of the year. Sure, we won't do any more workshops this year, but yeah, I mean, see how it goes and see if we can pick these up. I kind of want to do some of the reinvigorate some of the older workshops as well, like the gelled lighting ones in the new year as well. Okay, yeah, interesting, right? So what I was kind of thinking about when I saw this image was like the tonality of where these colors sit, right? Because when you look at this, you really doesn't feel like the shirt, the hat, and the beard are kind of all the same kind of exposure, because the colors have color dominance. Like this hat being redder is kind of got more dominance, but in reality, it's kind of the same brightness. Yeah, I actually really like this shot, lad. I think the colours in it are absolutely gorgeous, mate. Really cool. Yeah. I did, Paul. Yeah, it's true. That's true. I did. Just it was really more of a checker layer rather than converting it black and white. Just to be clear, right? I don't want anybody getting out of line. So everybody settle down. It was just wanting to look at it for science. Right, Sin, you're out. That's it. Final warning. Let's have a look. Boom. Okay. Going back to more basic shots so I can relearn my basics while working with measured light, color checkers, some other workflow breaking stuff that I wanted to get used to. Edit with my new workflow again. Includes new techniques like the false color. BACC is welcomed. Look, I love this. The only thing that kind of bugs me is the kind of clipping here in this region of the skin. That is going to be personal preference. There is an argument that says that is maybe the film profile that you're using to kind of emulate, highlights in that way. But yeah, that's just my take on it. Yeah, you've obviously looked into this more than I have with the film emulation thing. But yeah, maybe I'm just rose-tinted glasses and nostalgia when it came to film. But film highlights were weird, man, because of the celluloid or the emulsion of the actual film. They never really went to highlights like we understand them with digital. Yeah, I know how it looks in full color. I have no idea how my stuff looks in the Forbidden Land. Yeah. Can you show us, Vlad? Can you run your full color checker thing on that image and pop it in the Facebook thing? I'd be kind of curious as to what colors these come out at, like the hat and the shirt and the beard and that sort of thing. Because I'm thinking they should be pretty much in the same plane. But yeah, I will say you've done a very good job to have this very even background tone. Is that legit straight out of camera like that? Because it's a beautiful tone on the background, and it seems like a weird thing to say, but I know that you're kind of working in a smaller studio, and that can be kind of tricky to achieve. Yeah. Oh, we got some replies in here, which is probably already in there. Yeah, maybe. Oh no. Wait, that's the color grade? That's nuts, man. That's so cool. Nice. That's good. I love that. I didn't realize that was the original. That's nice, man. That's nice. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So it is a bit hot in the raw. Yeah, it is definitely hot in the raw. Okay, so it's not the preset that's bringing it up. It's overexposed in the raw. Okay, yeah. Nice, man. This is good. It's good. Edited in 2024. Early this year in 1 hour. Okay, so it's the same raw. Okay. Loving this backdrop, man. Good stuff. Did you make that yourself, that backdrop, or did you get it? Yeah. Very cool, man. Yeah. Yeah. Tough to say. Definitely prefer these two. I don't know which one I prefer out of these two. I think maybe this one, me personally. Definitely drawn to this. I'm just a little bit more I'm happier with the background being more separated from you here. Yeah. Whereas, it's kind of the similar tone here. Very cool. Oh, Jamie's retouching, just absolutely flawless, man. Good stuff. So we must 3 light setup, strip boxes either side, octabox above. So strip boxes either side, so on the left and right here. Yeah. And a red paper backdrop. Yeah, pretty simple effect. Do my standard latex, just standard. Yeah, that's flawless, mate. Yeah, absolutely flawless. Yeah, good stuff. I'm just kind of curious if we bring in a color layer here. And then find a nice skin tone. Now we would obviously cut that out, but let's try that again, Jake. I'm just curious. Just wanted to see if we could take out, we can obviously add another mask in there. Just want to take out some of the redness in the skin. Just kind of curious. And the lips as well. Just because this is a very graphical image, right? So I'm just trying to keep the colors as bold as we possibly can, and that means by kind of neutralizing some red tone in the skin, it's going to make the the other aspects stand out by proxy, which is kind of worth doing. I'm just kind of curious about the lips in here, about the teeth in here. I just want to see. I think they're probably good, but yeah. So it's just about adding that contrast in. That's all. Yeah, just nothing at all wrong with the original. I was just kind of looking at the just kind of taking some of that redness out in the skin, just to give us more of that graphical impact in the red eye makeup. And yeah, with that in mind, I'd be tempted to bring that eye makeup more in line with the lips as well, if you could. But yeah. I would be tempted to, if you don't do any of that, I may be tempted to tweak the eyeshadow here to be a richer red to match the lips in the background. Certainly something you could do. Would be a pain in the ass though. I think I'm working on the JPEG here. I know that color is going to break up. You can kind of see how we're bringing that red in line with the background there. It's breaking up because we're on the JPEG, but you would be able to manage that in the RAW, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah. Again, we need to mask out the pupil and that sort of stuff, but you get the idea. Yeah. Yeah. So just cleaning up the teeth down here, the lips, and the discoloration in the skin there. Yeah. Just to kind of lean into that graphical edge. But beautiful image, Jamie. And like the retouching on that, I know for a fact that is a nightmare, man. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. The false color. The false color. Oh, nice. Yeah, I thought I'd already taken enough out already. Oh, in the skin. You gotcha. Yeah. My backdrop was just printed on textile from AliExpress. Really, man? That's nuts. It looks like a decent quality. Yeah. Fuck. What? 2x3 meter is like 30 quid. That's wild, man. Is it shiny, Vlad? Like, how shiny is it? Is it like super shiny? So we got one from Paul here, experimenting with some lighting at a recent dance shoot. Gridded, softened beauty dish. So he's got a grid and the sock on it from above. Okay, which is the white light, I presume, and then the gelled strip camera right. Okay, so yeah, so this is the exposure limit that we see with gels and that sort of thing, like, because we can see where, you know, it's probably overlaying on top. So you've got those two lights falling on the same area with the white and the teal, and now we have this kind of breakup, right? And we're also losing all of our color here as well. So look, this is a great shot. It is. I'm just kind of nitpicking because of the thing that we've been chatting about with, you know, the colors and light and that sort of thing. And we can see down here as to how bright it actually is, right? here is, you know, not much color, right? If we were to kind of darken this down, then we start to see some of that color, and that's kind of where it would be an idea to maybe ease off on the power of that strip box, even if it means that you've got to darken the image down, like or brighten it up here a little bit. But I still think it's kind of bleached out here as well. Yeah. We talked about color contrast and that sort of thing as well. Let me just. Look, I was shouting and screaming about AI all day, but the AI in these masks is fucking wild, man. So let's just have a look in here. Let's inverse that. So let's just take out some of that in the background. And we can keep some of it on the floor if we want. We can just add another mask in there, maybe a gradient. Let's have a look just to keep it simple. I've not found other new gradients, but there we go. We'll keep it on the floor if we want. So you don't have to go as far as this, but my point here is to talk about color contrast, right? So you see how this, you know, like the color on her in the box is kind of been pumped up by proxy because we've taken away the color on the background. Yeah. So I don't know why that's at the bottom of the screen, but it is. So yeah, so you can kind of see what I mean about that, looking at that color contrast. And here we're using the lack of color to make this color stand out. Right, and we can kind of double down on that a little bit. We're not going to be able to do it properly here. Ooh, let's try that again with an actual. See if we can access the highlights a little bit. And again, we can just use that. Pop that in another group with another mask. I'm just trying to bring back some of the data in those highlights, and even there you can see the difference in the color, even though I've barely touched it. If you want to do it properly, you could lock it in with the hand tool here. So you come in here, put your spot, and then go, look, I don't want to affect too much down here, and then you could just make sure it's locked here. Just bring some of that color back a little bit. Again, working with a low-res JPEG, so it's not going to have the data there, but the same thing applies, right? But yeah, very cool shot, beautiful pose. It's great to see you kind of bringing in color into something like dance and that sort of thing, which historically has been very kind of classic, right? So I think you having the ability to bring in color into these shots with these girls, I think is giving more value to you and more value to them for sure. Adding something different, very, very cool. Yeah. Oh, was the other shot from Jamie? Nice, man. That's cool. Yeah. I was playing with 85mm and Interfit Honey Badger. Nice, unleashed with a Magnum reflector. Didn't have time to try HSS as we were in the middle of a storm. In Cardiff, Stan was quickly in danger. Yeah, absolutely. Didn't have time to open up the aperture or play with the gels I brought along, so the colour in this shot is just me playing around with the grade. Yeah, it's cool, man. That's good. Yeah. Love the grade, man. Yeah, good stuff. And yeah, playing with HSS outside is cool, man. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. Love the grade that you've gone for, Jamie. Really nice. Yeah, I mean, you can see the kind of the trying to bring the blues and the greys together here. With the railing has got blue. We got blues in the black bins here. Got blues in the tarmac down here. Obviously got blue in the sky, and then we've got these oranges with the orange brick, the chimney, the hair, straps. It's good grade, man. Good stuff. Don't tell me it's a preset. Yeah. I want the easiest one here. Oh, fair enough. Yeah. Beach on the floor. The beach on the floor is edit. What's that? Check. Would you ever do an idiot's guide to Photoshop for the relevant stuff needed? It's interesting, Tommy. Actually, it's interesting. Yeah. So I used to do a like a full retouching course. I still do it like online. I did a bunch of them during COVID, and yeah, which goes over my entire process. I know you didn't ask for an advert, but it is all in there. Yeah, and I kind of do it in a variety of ways. I either do the actual workshop, or I actually take your images, which is what most people went for at the time. Was they would send me their raws, like 3 to 5 of their raws, and then I would apply my process to them. And what ended up happening was people were able to kind of see that, like, they had, the potential of a reasonable image there already. Is just that their retouching skills were kind of not quite there, right? So that was my process. Seemed to be. I mean, like here's an example, right? So this is your raw, your retouch. This is your raw, my retouch, right? So there's some examples there. Your raw, retouch. Like, I can't enlarge this, but yeah. So it was kind of just taking people's images. They were like, yeah, let's have a look, and kind of showing them what was possible with it. Yeah. So to your point, Tommy, the reason why I was hesitant about talking about it now is because it's kind of non-existent now with AI. People aren't really bothered. They're happy to use the retouch for me, or the aftershoot, or the in photo, and all that sort of thing. And that's kind of gets them most of the way there, right? So yeah. So it's not something that really kind of people ask for as much anymore. You got your shot here. Look, here we go. You hope you're well. Been fairly absent, shooting over the last few months due to work decorating. Nice, yeah. And finally venture outside, attempt some street shots. Second time out of the studio. This shot was using 14mm Samyang manual lens with 2 off-camera flash at ground level with 24-inch softboxes. What the hell? This is nuts, man. I love this, right? And we've got the composition, which is super unique, right? Trump would love this, man. He's all over this, like super low angle, 14mm. Tommy, mate, did you shoot that Times cover magazine? That's nuts. Times magazine cover? That's nuts, mate. So this is really cool, yeah. But look, you've got this real nice clean angle coming diagonally through it. We got some nice color grades where we've pulled these kind of oranges, these warm colors in counter to these greens, which is really nice. Yeah, good stuff, man. Even like the greens in the tattoo and the bag and the trousers, and even got some greens here in the windows and stuff. Very, very cool. So for me, so my immediate response is, okay, this is what we see first, right? These kind of sausages here, overexposed sausages. There's the largest area in the frame. It's like, bigger than the head, and it's kind of overexposed, right? And I know you can go, well, softboxes are on the floor. What the hell am I supposed to do? You shoot in raw. It doesn't look too overexposed. You could probably pull that back if you wanted to. And then the face is kind of darker here. So I think like the elbow and stuff up here, we could kind of get away with that onboard flash kind of stark boom pop, which would draw you to it. But we need to make sure that this is knocked back, right? Need to make sure this is definitely knocked back. I knew that Times magazine cover photographer kept his head down, man. Nobody knows who he is. Now we know. Let's have a look here. Let's see if we can have a look. We can come in there. Now, this is always going to happen when you darken an image down. It's going to increase the saturation, right? That happens. We were just talking about this with color gels, right? When we just talking about it with Paul, we were saying, look, these lights are a little bit overexposed. We don't have the saturation there, so darken that light down a little bit, and we'll get that saturation. Same thing applies with Photoshop. Whenever we darken the colors down, it's going to give us more saturation. So it's a couple of things we can do. They don't always work, but something you can come in here and just change the curves to luminosity, so it should really only affect the brightness of the image and not the color. So you just change that to luminosity, bring that in there, and then maybe even take it down a little bit more. Careful, right? And then we can just kind of get that back in there. Okay, and we can brighten this up a touch more here on the face. Just that. So I haven't done any masking here or anything like that, right? So it's super scuffed, but you can see, like, look where our, look where our focus goes, right? Immediately. Yeah, you can see immediately. I would actually even go more on the face. I think you can definitely get away with it. Yeah, but you see where our focus goes, right? So this is the original. This is the adjustment. So yeah, I would probably just look at that. Yeah. But very cool shot though. Love the angle. Love the idea. Super creative, and you did it with flash as well. Good stuff, man. Yeah, good stuff. And you managed to balance out how overexposed is the sky. Did you actually balance out the exposure? Because you've brought the sky back here. What is this highlight here, Tommy? What is this highlight here? Is this from a flash? Yeah. Oh, the camera's in there too. Okay, let's have a look at that. Nice one, good lad. Let's have a look. Here we go. Oh, so you did. Okay, so fair play. That would be the way to go, man. Yeah, is to expose for that sky, because you know that you can bring back these shadows with the digital file, with the raw. Yeah, I think most people would have bleached out the sky, being too afraid of the buildings. But I think you played it right. Because what are you going to do? You're going to light the buildings separately? No. So I think what you did was the right play. Exposing for the sky. So we've got data in that highlight, and then we know that there is going to be data in these shadows. Which there was, yeah. So even she's a little hot in the raw here as well. So, but again, I would probably just turn that. You could probably afford to turn that flash down at least half a stop, if not a little bit more, maybe 2/3, just to bring that back, so that we're not losing data in the yellows and reds in the skin here. Yeah. But very cool, very cool. Did Paul say he had a raw in the comments as well? My God, you guys are so good. I'm just like, that's nuts. Oh no, Paul's saying about your raw in the comments. Okay, nice. I was going to say, Paul. So Melanie here. Not shared an image in quite a while. Last minute shoot with So featuring headdress, which I made for myself too. I said editor in Invoto. There you go. Melanie's in Invoto as well. Yeah. This is really cool, Melanie. And look, I think any shoot that you've got this preconceived idea, you're going and picking up the camera with intent, right? And when I'm doing, some of my feedback and training and that sort of stuff, that's kind of what I'm trying to get people into this mindset of, because we're in this world right now where we can just kind of shoot freely, right? Doesn't cost us anything. We can fire away with the with the digital cameras. We can fire away, and we just kind of play with it. Nothing wrong with that, but I do think that there is huge quality and gains to be made through your creativity long term if you're picking up the camera with intent, which a shot like this is, right? You've got this idea in mind, and you are trying to get that idea in your mind's eye captured, right? Which is easier said than done. Yeah. So I think this is a really useful project to do, and it's something that we were forced to do at art college, right? You've got to come up with a brief and a project, and then you've got to implement it, right? And it's that process of turning an idea into reality that you learn so much from, rather than let's just pick up the camera and let's just play with it. Yeah, let's move stuff around, and that's fine. That's fine, but it doesn't really kind of give you as much growth, creative growth, I think. So I love this. Lighting looks good. Lighting looks clean. We've got nice strong shadows and stuff here. Looks like we've got catchlights in the eyes. I'm nitpicking here, Melanie, but I would bring up this light just a tiny bit higher. Right now, granted, the pose is there. Like the pose has got the chin up. but we can see that these catch lights are just kind of coming in from the side, right? Coming in from the side. They're just coming in from the side there. And I would kind of really like to see maybe these catch lights just up here, just kind of clipping the eyes, which would mean that the key light has been brought up, right? So the key light will be coming in from down here as opposed to here. It may not seem like a big deal, but we can start to see some of the lighting on the nose and that sort of stuff here, where it's kind of coming up as opposed to down. We should have a nose shadow here if the light is up high enough. So just always kind of be looking at those catch lights in the eyes. I think you probably did the my bad. I think you probably did the right thing originally with the lighting. It's just that she brought her chin up, and because of how close that light is, now it's kind of not in the right place. Yeah. So I think that's kind of the only thing there. So think about where the pose is going to be, and then if you need to adjust the light, make sure you do so. But otherwise, very cool. Just one final note on this, and this is personal opinion, so take this with a grain of salt, but I would potentially consider dialing back how much Evoto is doing to the skin here, right? Let's say this is 100% smoothing on the skin. I would maybe take that back to like maybe 60-75% and see where it falls in terms of looking a little bit more organic. Yeah, just something to think about. Yeah, but otherwise, very cool shot. Yeah. Oh, you added a new one. Okay, let's have a look. So Vlad said he popped one in here as well. There we go. There we go. You see? So this is what Vlad was talking about, right? You know, when I brought in this image a minute ago into Photoshop, and I kind of desaturated it by 99%. You could see that these were the same tones, right? And so Vlad's got his color checker here. I forget what the color thing that he calls it. And you can see that they're all the same color, right? Which is the beard, the shirt, and the hat fall into the same exposure, which is the same color. You know? So yeah, definitely working as intended. Yeah, very cool. Yeah. Don't tell me. Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay. See, I don't really. Yeah, I don't follow this, but I see people. You know, I see people looking at, and obviously they're wary as soon as it gets into the oranges and that sort of stuff. But yeah, interesting. So Paul's got before and after in here. Boom. Oh, so you overcooked it in post, mate. Okay, well at least you got the shot in camera. Okay, that's good. Okay, yeah. So the color is there in the original. You just kind of overcooked it a little bit in post. All right, fair enough. Well, look, that's kind of what I was talking about to Tommy, right? He's like, you know, for the most part, a lot of the times, like the raw is there. We just kind of need to be aware of where we're taking it. So you have the data there. So yeah, if you wanted to kind of bring that color back, you absolutely could do. Yeah. Let's have a look. Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely there, man. It's definitely there. Yeah. Even just real basic tone there. That teal is definitely there. Yeah. Nice. Okay. That's good. I mean, it's good and bad. Cooked it in post, but you know, you shot it properly. That's good. We got anything here? Boom. All good. Okay. It's got one from John here, just playing with the usual Pepsi colours. Nice, nice, with hard lights. This is cool. We've got this effect coming in here, whether it's post or what. We had one 8300 with grid as main, so I presume that's the white light here. Two 8200s with gels and gridded barn doors to control the light spill. Omni, so it is in camera. Nice, John. Love to see it. Love to see it. I was, you know, it was one of those things where I was like, it looks like it's real, and then I didn't want it to be, oh no, it's just a filter, and me look like an idiot. But that does look cool, man. That does look cool. Yeah, nice. You got it. You know, you kept it off of her, but this is very cool. Yeah. Just on this, just keep that chin up a tiny bit to make sure that we, like, it's not terrible, but just watch for the catch lights in the eyes, right? Catch lights in the eyes are going to be key for something like this, just to give it that little spark. And we've also got, this can happen as well when we're bouncing around on red gel in a small room, but just be mindful of kind of like the red blotchy skin as well, right? We can kind of come in there. I got to get a boom for this mic, it's so dumb. Right in the way. I mean, even that, right? What, 2 seconds? And it's just taken out a lot of that blotchy redness from the skin. Hopefully you guys can see that. Maybe not. But yeah, like even just that, right? Just took away that red blotchiness. I mean, sure, we can take out, you know, we can clean the lips up there as well, but yeah, but just a little catch light in the eye, I think would be gold. I don't know why that's lagging so much. I still think you can knock that back a little bit, but yeah. We're at the end. We're at the end. My goodness. Great images this week, guys. Great images. Last one here from Trouble himself. Pinks and blues. Every bonkers look for this week, styled by... Yeah, this is nuts, man. When I was looking at this image, Sin, I was like, it's so weird. And then I realized it was just purely because the dress was around the neck. I was like, my brain just couldn't compute, like, what am I looking at? Is this like a midget, or is this like a tiny girl, or have you comped the head on afterwards? It was really surreal, man. It's but clever though, right? Because anything like this that keeps you engaged and looking twice, I think is a good thing. Love the colors, man. Real bold, yeah, real bold colors with the pinks and the blues. Like that blue is great, right? Really cool. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at the 60-40-10 rule here of color theory. So those of you who don't know, 60-40-10 is 60% of one color, 40% of another color, and 10% of one more. So your 10% being your kind of feature color, which is typically your dominant color, right? So 60% is this bold pink. We got our 40%, which is the cream peach, and then we have our 10% of the hair. So this is the 60-40-10 rule. I would probably just ease off on the exposure here a little bit of the highlights. Sin, that's just me. Yeah. I just kind of bring them back just a tiny bit. I know you still want some of the contrast there, but yeah. You probably just mask her out as well, just to keep it safe. But yeah, yeah. So just knocking that brightness back just a little bit. You don't probably need to go quite as far as that, but yeah. Very cool. Yeah, good stuff. Model is petite. Fair enough. Yeah. It's a big collar. Yeah. You turned an image black and white on the stream. It was 99% desaturated. Let's just be clear on that, Paul. Yeah. Thank you. Interestingly, the skin retouch comes from differently on different systems. There's more texture on the Evoto screen, but when I export it out, texture disappears. Seems to disappear. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I would do some tests then, right? And do some tests and see what you're kind of happy with and where it stands. Because I can kind of see where you're coming from. Because if it's using its own software and it has its own kind of rendering or like system in there, especially with pixel size, sometimes it can look grittier and more texture, at different sizes and that sort of thing. So yeah, I would definitely do some tests, Melanie. Yeah, and just look, you don't have to, you certainly don't have to ease off on it. I would maybe give it a go and see if you think, maybe ask some friends and think, look, which one do you prefer? Do you prefer like the 100% or 70%? Get some feedback on it. But yeah. Like a big column serving late. What's an image? Leo, mate, you are late. I should have finished half an hour ago. Yeah. They are really incredible shots, Leo. Yeah, really good. Yeah, I was just about to finish up, Leo, but we can definitely go over your image next time, mate. Yeah, but I agree. Leo was right. Some cracking images in here. Good selection again. Really good selection again. Everybody working on something different. Everybody, kind of showing off different skill sets for sure. Jamie's really got this locked up. Vlad has really kind of grown into his style and look now, which is absolutely beautiful. I mean, the grade on this from the raw Vlad is really nice, man. Yeah, really good stuff. Yeah, we've got Paul. Got Paul who's doing great work in camera. We just need to ease off on the Photoshop brightening, but that can happen with contrast and stuff, man. And look, I know you're a working photographer, and I know what it's like when you're like, I just got to get this out. I don't want to spend 45 minutes per image. I get it, man. I get it. I'm just being cheeky for sure. Tommy's again, love that angle, the way that you're working on that. Very, very cool. Oh, is this you, Leo? This is awesome, man. Yeah, good stuff. Really nice. Again, strong with the color contrast there. Yeah, good stuff. Probably a bit too late. Shot it yesterday. I was pretty proud of the color separation this time. It's getting there, man. It's getting there. Yeah. Starting to get some of these muddy tones here as it overlaps, but yeah, it's definitely getting there. Especially on the hand. Oh. Ignore what I just said. The slit over the eye was the optical snoot with white, just enough snow, but the skin tones and blue on her face. Yeah, I can see that. What's most impressive about this for me, Leo, is the specularity here, right? The shape that you're getting with these colors. That's what's actually kind of difficult to get, is the three-dimensional shape with color. Yeah, which we've got these beautiful specular highlight here, gorgeous, and the same here on the hands. So really good stuff. Yeah. All right, guys. Gonna wrap it up there. Don't forget, if you're interested in the workshop, check it out. I will promote that one last time. Let's just say this live stream was sponsored by Hicks Photography Lighting Courses. Let's just say that was the case. So check that out if you're interested. Like I said, half full already. So, and here's, if you want to save 50 quid, you can do so. Use that code on checkout for you guys watching the stream. And yeah, hopefully we can see some of you there. This one here, actually, on the 25th, we've got somebody coming over from Tennessee. We've got, I think, Canada, I think France, something like that. We already had Damien come over from Switzerland. So I'm not saying the Brits are cheapskates or anything, but I'm just saying that, it's good that this workshop is seeing some international interest, which is great. So look forward to doing that. And maybe there's a few more Brits can put their hand in the pocket, and we can have a few more on the first. Just an idea. But yeah, should be good, man. Should be good. Let's check these last minute comments before I make sure you do what Jamie says, for Christ's sake. Like, subscribe, the whole shebang, so you don't miss any of these live streams. Exactly. Thank you, Jamie. I think, yeah, if you hit subscribe and the bell or something like that, and I think you get told about the stream or something. I do usually put an email out, so as long as you're signed up to my email list, the easiest way to do that is just to download the free studio lighting book here, right? And I get your email, and then I will tell you next time the streams go live. So if you If you're not already on the email list, do that. But yeah, I think that's it, guys. That's it. Long one today, but we covered a lot. Thank you so much for everybody that came by to hang out. And yeah, let's try and do this again in a couple of weeks. I think let's say a couple of weeks. I got a mad month coming up with projects and stuff, but let's say a couple of weeks, and we'll take it from there. All right, guys, take care, stay creative, and I shall catch you in the next one. Bye for now.